Greetings, everyone. It's time for another list.
Oh, you were all waiting for it. You know you were.
I've read the whole thing and I lack your enthusiasm.
Well, I haven't yet. I have yet to read this list.
I read the
generally
top
never
10, but
read-
that's it.
I never really read this whole list. I like to be surprised while we're actually looking at this list. But this is the top 100 RPGs of all time by IGN, of course.
Can't spell ignorance without it.
Yeah.
Eh.
That tagline is as dated as this. I don't know. Anyway, so this is generally because it's 100 RPGs of all time. And granted, I don't have much experience with different RPGs, so we might be skimming over this. This could be the fastest list we ever done. So if we're not familiar with the particular RPG, because we're assuming they're all good at this point, drop a comment. Is it good? Would you recommend it? Easier to pick up? Yeah.
So, shall we begin?
Yes.
All right.
Number
so
100 is Ys, Book 1 and 2.
I heard
Not
it's very good,
Wise.
but I haven't played it.
Yeah, same here.
It's pronounced ease.
Not wise.
Yeah.
It-
I heard it was good, but that's about it.
Yes, that's pretty much it.
Again, this is where you guys come in. If we're not entirely sure, you guys come in and let us know if you ever have experience that, whether or not it's good or not, and is it good at 100? I don't know. Anyway, number 99 is Lunar, Eternal Blue.
Anime cutscenes.
Well,
Looks like Garci's win.
I've heard of Lunar.
Yeah.
I've heard of it too. I know that it's not the I've heard that people stopped liking it after a certain game. I don't know if this is it, but I'm just going to assume it was good and otherwise.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. The release date is 2000, but its platform was a Sega CD.
I think that was a typo.
Okay. Anyway,
Number
Number-
98, Shadow Hearts Covenant. Never heard of this.
I've heard of this. I've just never played it.
I just 100 RPGs. I can't believe there are that many.
Yeah.
No, there are.
Well,
there are.
at least the next one we'll have something to talk about. Cue the incredibly crappy song.
What are you talking about?
Number 97 is Final
97
Fantasy VIII.
Oh, Final Fantasy VIII ranks this high. Jesus Christ.
Well, it's a terrible
Low.
game.
Well, no, I don't think it's terrible. It just requires way too much work to get into it.
Draw.
It just, I
Draw.
can't tell you the amount of times I went and picked up 8 and say, okay, I'm gonna do it this time. I'm gonna learn how to junction. I'm gonna draw the fuck out of all the enemies, and just drop it. I can't do it.
So that's a bad game then.
But
If
There's
you don't-
one
if you
thing a
don't-
game should never make me do, it's grind, or at least should never make me grind to beat it. I mean, post-game stuff, sure, but I don't know. It just seems like there's way too much, and the plot just seems dumb.
it has an excellent soundtrack. I will give it that.
If you want to hear nitpicks, just watch Spoonie's review. Pretty much.
I gotta try again. I just got to.
You're never going to.
I don't know. Maybe we've something different this time.
Moving on to number 96, Phantasy Star.
Fantasy Star, that was Sega, right? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Sega. I'm looking at the developer.
Master System, actually.
Way back in the day.
Jesus
I've never
Christ.
played this one.
I've played one or two later on. I don't know which one. I can't remember which ones exactly, but they were a pretty typical RPG fare.
The only ones I've ever had experience with was Fantasy Star Online 2, I think it was, for the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
Before it got ported to GameCube, was it?
Yeah.
Or was it? I'm not exactly sure. That's about it, though. There was a time where I was pretty much sampling all kinds of RPGs after I left my Final Fantasy high, and none of them just really stuck besides Final Fantasy.
Yeah. Alright, so I guess moving on to number 95, The Legend of Dragoon.
This is
You
one I
guys are-
hear a lot about, but I've never tried it.
prefer the Panzer kind.
Yeah, I've actually played the demo of this, and for the most part, I enjoyed what I played. It didn't leave that much of an impression on me, though. You pretty much like raising dragons and stuff like that. So you're raising animals, pretty much, to fight your battles for you. And
Pokemon?
it's like Pokemon in a sense. It's actually exactly what it reminded me of, but it didn't leave that much of an impact. I never, after playing the demo, I never went, out of my way to get the actual game, and I think it's pretty rare now, actually.
Again, if it has Dragoon in the title, I prefer the Panzer variety.
Saga or just regular?
Alright, so moving on to number 94. Vagrant Story, which I never heard of.
I've heard, again, I've just never played.
Hold on a second. My link is taking forever to load. Vagrant Story. That, yeah, like you guys, I've heard plenty of it. Never exactly played it. I don't know. Maybe it's something I have to get into because, I get people recommending me RPGs left and right. Like, I just got, what's that one game? Vandal Hearts, PlayStation about a year ago, and I haven't picked it up yet, so who knows?
Number 93, Tales of Fantasia. And wow, that is some incredibly generic anime or manga artwork.
Well, this was 95?
Yeah.
This is the first Tales of game, which is a stupid series title, just to mention. Tales of series is just kind of like, what? Huh? What?
Tales of Vesperia?
But,
I've
never touched a Tales game, so I wouldn't know.
Matt was showing me Tales of, what's the GameCube one?
Symphonia? That's the one everyone talks about.
I think Symphonia, maybe. And for the most part, it looks like it could be enjoyable. It has multiplayer options, though it really doesn't benefit that much from them. So, maybe a future Let's Play? Maybe.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so moving on to number 92, Diablo 3, which I haven't played.
I heard that it was really buggy.
Well, all MMOs are.
But I've heard people are really, really hating this one. Well, I mean, hardcore people are really, really hating this one.
Because they still love Diablo 2.
I was just about to say they might just
be
over expecting
something. And it'll never be Diablo 2 to them.
Have you guys ever played Diablo?
No,
I've played a bit of 2, but that's about it.
I played a little bit of Diablo 2. Jacob, my roommate, introduced me to Diablo 2. I chose Paladin. I didn't get very far though because I'm not a big MMO fan.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to number 91, Fable 2, which I heard good things about but haven't played.
I've heard it's.
I don't know if Fable 1's in this list at all.
I don't remember it being there.
I'm just gonna assume this is the only Fable game in this list, and Fable bored the fuck out of me.
I heard it had a lot of technical problems as well, just problems that should have been fixed, but they weren't because Molyneux's lazy. I don't know, just was there anything special about it?
Not that I recall.
I know. You're talking about the series or just this game in general?
Just whatever you've played.
I remember him hyping the fuck out of Fable 1 back when it was initially announced. It's like, you're going to have so many options and choices and a morality system, and it ended up never living up to nearly the amount of hype it was getting. And, it kind of suffered from that. Now, I know Fable 2 and 3 are considered great games. It's just that the way the game is structured, you have so many options and so many choices with the buttons on the analog stick and the controller and the shoulder pad. It's nah. I hate being overwhelmed when it comes to possibilities, stuff like that. That should always be a good thing, mind you. But in my case, sometimes it's better just to go simple and not overly complex.
Mm-hmm. All right, so moving on to number 90. Did you order a mascot character, Ted?
To be honest, I think this is rather low, and I haven't even played the damn game. Because, there's plenty of games above this that this game should be above, just on the basis of already knowing its plot. And the battle system I already know is decent, because it's the same as 3 Portable, which I've played. And actually, just overall, it looks like it's a better game than 3, and that's, spoiler alert, Persona 3 is higher up on the list. But, I don't know, this seems incredibly, incredibly low, especially considering how big of a fan base the Persona series gets.
The Shin Megami Tensei is a separate series from Persona, though, isn't it? I know
Persona is a sub-series of Shin Megami Tensei.
Yeah, Persona is a spin-off of Shin Megami Tensei, but why does it still carry the Shin Megami Tensei name?
It has the same monster. It has the characters. basically the characters you control have their own little personas, which are embodiments of yourself that give you your attacks.
I am thou. Thou
Thou
art me.
the main character can use different can change his or her persona, and some of them, well, all of them actually are monsters from the other Shin Megami Tensei games. So like you can have a Jack Frost persona and stuff like that. Though there aren't any other Shin Megami Tensei games on this list, and I would have put at least Devil Survivor on this. So yeah, fail number 1 on this list.
I just like it for the memes and the comic.
I mean, it's a very solid game, and I would have seen it bumped up a couple of spaces, but I don't know. I just don't know why this is so low.
Personal preference.
I don't know. I think you can make an objective statement that this is better than some of the other games we'll be seeing.
Okay, well, let's move on to 89. Fallout New Vegas. I have yet to play a Fallout game ever.
Me too.
Me neither.
I've the only thing I shouldn't say that completely because I did sample 3. My brother Mark bought it because my brother is at this point in mind where he's absolutely sick of Call of Duty and he just wants to play something else. And I tell him, you're a Batman fan. Why don't you pick up Arkham City now? And he decided to get Fallout, and that didn't last very long. And I think, yeah, I knew it wasn't going to because this is not your genre. And Fallout is like. It's like Elder Scrolls, only not like modern
it's Elder
setting.
Scrolls, but in
Apocalyptic world.
Apocalyptic world, yeah. And I'm not a big Elder Scrolls fan to begin with.
Okay.
So moving on to number 88, which is criminally low on this list, Final Fantasy IX.
Oh God, nine this low?
Yes.
Really?
Especially when we see some of the later games. This shocked me.
This is criminally low.
This is they could have used better renders for the picture. Why is everyone fucking frowning?
He looks like David. Zidane looks like David Bowie.
Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. They're self-aware that they're so low on this list. And,
Steiner does not approve.
well, that's Steiner's regular face. His face is perpetually frozen in that position. I'm sorry, but 88, 88, Final Fantasy IX, really?
Where would you have put it?
This is.
I'd put it in the top
10.
half at least.
This is top 10. I'm sorry. I love Final Fantasy. I know it's all personal preference, but Jesus Christ, 9 did so many things right for me. Out of all the PlayStation games, it's
easily the best of the PlayStation games.
Yeah, it's my favorite of the PS trilogy. It goes. It's right. I think I've had the top 3 favorite Final Fantasy. I think it's number 2 next to 6. It's just. Oh God! But, okay. Speaking beside this position, this is a fantastic game. I was fearful at first because I didn't pick up I got Final Fantasy IX December of 2000, and
I still have mine.
Yeah, no, my original Black Label is gone. I have a Greatest Hits edition.
I
now.
have the original Black Label.
And I
Not
was
worth as
fearful
much
first because I skipped over 8 because I wasn't that. Well, actually, I wasn't exactly sure why I skipped over 8 at the time. I guess I just loved 7 so much. That's pretty much all I needed. And then, I finally said, let me move on to the next Final Fantasy, and I got 9. And it was Christmas vacation. I had plenty of time to get into the game, and goddamn did I get into the game. 9 is so easy to pick up and play. It is extremely user friendly. And there's a lot to do. I love its story. Its soundtrack is fantastic, and
the graphics don't look stupid when they go into 3D mode.
Yeah, this was the last great Final Fantasy game.
Yeah, everything after 9 is at best mediocre.
I love 10, and I love 10 too, to an extent, but 9 this is where Final Fantasy peaked for me.
And that's all.
I haven't played it, but again, just looking at it, I can tell it's a good game. I like the music. It's just I haven't played it, and I know this is way too low.
But just do yourself a favor, Ted. You just get a PS3. They're so super cheap nowadays, anyway. And just get the game on the PS1 Classics list and play it because you're missing out incredibly.
Yeah, if you liked 4 and 6, you'll love 9.
Indeed, yes.
I did like 4 and 6.
Then you'll love 9. Alright, so I guess moving on to number 87, Lufia 2 Rise of the Sinistrals.
Again, I hear this is a good game. It's a Dragon Quest clone from what I've seen, but it doesn't really look better than Persona 4 or
No.
or Final Fantasy 9.
You always bothered me at one point. It was a story. I've only played and beaten Lufia 1, which was it was a good RPG, a little hard for my taste at some points in the game. But the beginning of Lufia 1 starts with the ending of this game.
So what? There's no point to the story since you know what's
No,
going to happen.
well, I've watched the HC Bailey Let's Play. They add an extra scene at the end, so it doesn't just end at the same point. You run around and you touch a few crystals, and then you turn into a little spirit ghost and you fly away with your dead wife.
Yeah,
Something like that.
At that, this is the reason why the downsides of prequels is like you know how the journey is going to end, so why bother? Great, this could be one of those. The journey is what really matters, and not so much the destination. But in an RPG where I like to have a ending that makes me happy or fulfilled. I know how Lufia 2 is going to end, and I was like, well, no, I'm just going to stick to Lufia 1. Sorry.
I hear mechanics wise, it's better, but. Then again, it's in an RPG, I'm gonna say that the mechanics aren't really the main focus. It's more the world building and story than the mechanics in a lot of situations.
Mm-hmm. I guess moving on to number 86, Shadowrun, which I've only heard in name passing.
I've heard more about the pen and paper Shadowrun than the video game Shadowrun.
Stuff.
So I guess if we have nothing to say on Shadowrun,
Breath of Fire 3.
Breath of Fire 3, number 85, yes.
Which it's one of those games that I've heard good things about but never played.
How about you, John?
I like you guys. I've only heard of it, never exactly experimented with it. I'm assuming the first two were Super Nintendo?
Yeah,
Yes, they were.
I'm assuming so.
Oh, okay, well, maybe something to look into later.
Yeah.
Subscribers, assemble.
Mm-hmm. Moving on to number 84.
When you walk away.
How is Persona 4 and Final Fantasy 9 lower than this?
Yeah, I'm not
This
gonna.
is such a clusterfuck of a game, and the battle mechanic just doesn't work for me.
I'm gonna argue its position between this and Persona 4. I don't care about that. It's what is it that bugs you about Kingdom Hearts? I'm very curious about this.
Gameplay or story?
Whatever, it doesn't matter.
Okay, we'll start with the story because just one, I'm not a big fan of the kind of 7 and 8ish designs of the characters, and everyone human-wise is designed like that. Designed a bit more kiddie in mind, particularly Sid, but they're using all the Final Fantasy 7 and 8ish designs for everyone in terms of art style, and then you add Disney and everything just clashes to me. The story makes no freaking sense trying to take Disney characters seriously.
Well, in the beginning, the story was cohesive, at least.
Even in the first game, I just couldn't give two shits about the story because it made no sense to me. But battle mechanics-wise, it's just... Yeah, I know you can add different abilities or boost your magic and stuff, but it's one of those... I'm just running around pressing the X button to whack things with my oversized key.
Admittedly,
this isn't fun to me.
Admittedly, yes, that is a problem I have with the series in general, especially 2. 2, I think, is the biggest offender of that. Because
you'll see 2 later. So
I ultimately got I had to just force my way through 1 just to get through it, and I'm just like, okay, I'm done. I'm not playing this anymore unless they radically change everything. I'm just running around with a big key whacking things. I don't want to play this.
Kingdom Hearts, admittedly, is a game like Ocarina of Time or Link to the Past, where I have to be in the mood to play, because it's one of those games where I don't want to just drop it in the middle of the game and just play something else. No, I'm gonna start it and I'm gonna finish it. And there are things that bother me with Kingdom Hearts in general, like the massive amounts of grinding you need to do at the end of the game in order to get some of the best shit. The way some worlds drag out, and yeah. Other than that, though, I remember I first saw the commercial for this game. It was in 2002.
Yeah.
I didn't really so
with the
much care about
J-pop
the Disney cameos, because it wasn't really so much of a Disney guy then. It's the Final Fantasy cameos. So, I love Final Fantasy 7 so much, and to see Cloud and Yuffie and Sephiroth, and I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And I played it, and I ended up really liking it.
Yeah.
And it's not for everyone. Yeah, I agree. It's but for me, my tastes in the RPG genre, it did enough for me, and I'm a fan. I'm a fan of 2 too. You said, Ted, that it's appearing later down the list, I believe, so we can
I
talk.
think it's a lot higher. I've only read through this once, so my memory's a little bit
All right,
fuzzy,
well,
but I remember
save
seeing
anything
Kingdom Hearts
regarding
2.
let's save anything regarding 2 for later. But yeah,
All right.
I just had to force my way through when I never cared for it at all, and so I haven't played any games since because I hear it only, aside from 2 fixing a few things, it's pretty much only gone downhill.
Well, in terms of story, yeah.
All right, let's move on to number 83 to a series I much prefer, Fire Emblem.
Oh, Ryan, guess
They're
what?
more-
This
they're
is the
more-
only Fire Emblem on the list.
Oh, god damn it. Well, they call it Fire Emblem, even though technically it's Fire Emblem 7. It's just the first one we got.
This is the only Fire Emblem. Well, actually, I played some of Sacred Stones.
I
This
do
is
like
my
Path of-
favorite one, just because I like the characters the best.
Play Path of Radiance for the GameCube, you'd like it. Or, I can't remember, is that Path of Radiance for the GameCube or the Wii? I can't remember, but
I think it is.
the
but,
GameCube one.
I'll get to it one day.
Yeah,
This
it's,
is
this
Roy-
is no, this is Roy's
This
father.
is the one with Ellie Wood,
which is
so
Roy's
it's the
father.
one after Roy or before
This is Fire.
Roy. I don't know.
This is Fire Emblem 7, which came out right after 6, which was the one that had Roy. The guy on the front in this picture here is Eliwood, Roy's father.
So it's a prequel to the one with Roy in it.
Yes. And Lynn and Hector are also really cool characters as well. So
Yeah, I mean, something about. I mean, I don't really know where to place this because Fire Emblem's a game I only really played once. I don't know if this is too low, but I find it odd that no other Fire Emblem game is on this list.
7's not a bad game. Just there are better Fire Emblem entries in this series.
Tactical RPG, just not into it.
This is the only one I particularly like because it's very simple. It's not all these weird, unique abilities that you'll never understand. It's just archers do this, lancers do this, guys with axes do this. There are certain things you can mix and match with, like certain pairings work well together if you have like an archer next to an axe wielder or something. But for the most part, it's here are the guys, here are what they do. Find the best positions and find your way to win. It's very down to earth. Alright, so moving on to number 82, I guess. Might and Magic 6, The Mandate of Heaven, which I know
I've
Might
never
of
heard of
I
this.
know Might of Magic
I've
by
heard
name
of
only.
Might and Magic, but I've never
Played it.
I wasn't exactly sure if Might and Magic were like a tabletop RPG or something like that, but no.
I think
It's
it's
not
start-
a tabletop. I know that.
But no, it's a PC game, and I can't say anything about this because I have no experience with it whatsoever.
Me neither. So moving on to number 81.
So moving on, we've got Dragon
Dragon
Warrior
Warrior
7, which is ironically at the bottom of most people's Dragon Quest lists. I mean, I haven't played this one. I've played a few other Dragon Quest games, but from what I've heard, you don't do any like battles until 2 hours into the game.
Really?
You have to do 2 hours of exposition before you get into any battles at all. And then again, I haven't played this. This is just going off of what I've heard. But apparently it just drags.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen, I can't imagine this being higher than Dragon Quest IV, which I have played and isn't on this list at all.
All right, hold on a second. Okay, just to clear things up, Dragon Quest and Dragon Warrior are the exact same game, right?
They're the same game. It called Dragon Warrior for a little bit because of some copyright thing. But Dragon Warrior and Dragon Quest are the same thing. The titles are interchangeable.
So it wasn't. When did they start calling it Dragon Quest again?
At around 8, but they also released some remakes of 4, 5, and 6, and those are also under the Dragon Quest name because they're on the DS.
Okay.
I just usually call it Dragon Quest no matter what game I'm talking about, just to keep things simple. But again, from what I've seen, I can't imagine this being higher than 4, which is really, really good.
Alright, so moving on to number 80 is Dungeon Master. Real descriptive name there.
You know what? I'm drawn to two things. First, one, I love the Ninja Turtles headbands on the top right image, on the top right of the image there. And secondly, the third player is named Gandalf.
Wait, what?
This looks very
Archaic.
yeah. Well, it's Super Nintendo, PC, Amiga, Atari ST.
Even by then, even by that period, this looks a bit archaic.
I think that I've never played this one, so I'm not sure about it.
Yeah. So I guess moving on to number 79, Icewind Dale 2. What?
This is made by the same guys who did Baldur's Gate and Planescape Torment, which I only
I
ever hear
see.
good things about. So I'm
Lewis.
gonna assume it's a good game and just move on.
Lewis. You're our
He's the
Baldur's
one who
Gate
chose
guy.
not to be here. Half of the games we've seen, I know he's played.
Yes, moving on.
Well, that's the thing, though. If it was half the games that it was played, we'd be here 3 times as longer.
Yeah.
True.
Alright, so moving on to number 78, The Witcher 2, Assassins of Kings.
I've
Eh,
heard mixed things about Witcher as a whole. So I'm not really sure about this, but again, I haven't played it.
So I guess moving on to number 77, it is Tales of Symphonia. That is the GameCube one. I've never got a chance to.
Yeah, this is the one. Yeah, this is the one Matt was showing off.
I've heard really good things about this game. I've just never played it.
This is a game that I've always meant to try out. I've just never gotten to,
Yeah,
and it's hard to find. Like copies go for over $100 on Amazon.
Yeah, that was me in like
Really?
2004, 2005. I kept seeing it on the shelf. And I'm like, I came in here for a different game. I'll get to it eventually. I came in here for a different game. I'll get to it eventually, and never got to eventually.
Yeah.
I'm looking up now. It goes for 38 now on Amazon.
That's not too bad.
New or used?
Used. Does it really
I don't
fucking matter?
trust.
Nah.
I don't trust
Well,
used
the-
games
depends-
for
the- well-
GameCube over Amazon because I've had some bad experiences.
It depends on the dealer ratings for me. If they're at like 97 or above, I can generally trust them. But yeah, I've always meant to play it, just never got around to it.
Oh, guys, can we break here for a second? Is Ryan cutting out for you, Ted?
Yeah, he is.
Oh, I am?
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I thought I was going crazy there for a
Oh,
second.
no. You guys are coming in just fine
I'm
for
sure
me,
that
so.
you guys listening can hear Ryan because it
No, you
records
guys are
off
co-
of what he
Yeah,
hears.
no,
but
you guys are coming in just fine for me, so it ultimately is coming in fine, I bet. But
you keep on getting
Keep
really,
on-
really
yeah.
soft.
You drown. It's like as if there's some random man pulling you like 80 feet away from the computer at random times.
okay, so maybe I'm not coming in great, but I don't know. Am I coming in better now?
Not really.
For the most part.
Why don't we keep on going, and if it gets really bad, we'll make you reset your internet.
Yeah. Alright, so moving on to number 76, Illusion of Gaia.
Dalton? No, that's not him. Another game I've heard plenty of. You know, usually when I experiment with emulators, I see this game on the list of under the I section so many times. I never really feel like selecting it and trying out because I'm usually I'm hesitant with trying out RPGs back on the SNES days. But I've heard good things.
I've only heard of it by name, but that's about it.
Yeah, so moving on, we
75
have
Front
Front
Mission,
Mission 3.
Which I've never heard of.
Never heard of.
I've never heard of this either.
So moving on, number 74,
Okay.
Wizardry 8.
Now, I've heard of Wizardry.
Anything with
I've
a
ju-
number over 7 in its name has gone on for too long.
I've heard of this series. I've never taken the time to sit down and play any of them.
How many wizardries are there?
A lot.
Oh, okay.
Well, the first one we've seen has an 8 in the title, so I would assume there's a lot.
Well,
no.
it's a
Even better yet, it's Wizardry 8 and it's 2001. Really stinks.
Jesus
so.
Christ.
We're
Well,
prob-
I mean, Final Fantasy had 8 by 98, so...
Yeah, I guess. Speaking of Final Fantasy, number 73 is the original Final Fantasy.
Ugh.
So
I
archaic
get
by
historical
today's.
significance because I mean, without
pretty
Final
much
Fantasy,
only-
I
it's-
doubt RPGs would have gotten popular in the Western world.
It's pretty much the only
But
reason it's on here. 'Cause that's such a-
Still,
it's like
eh,
Zelda 1 and Metroid. It's so archaic by today's standards.
It
It's
is.
aged.
It's pretty high up. I will agree because I'll play Kingdom Hearts before
Over-
playing
yeah.
the original.
Yeah,
Final
it's like
Fantasy.
above Persona 4,
Have you guys
Final
ever
Fantasy
beaten
9.
the original Final Fantasy?
I've played
I
it but
could
never
only
beaten
get
it.
through like 3 dungeons before I just said.
It's hard.
Especially, it's. I mean, like, if I'm gonna play any of the first 3 Final Fantasy games, I'm gonna play Final Fantasy 3 for the DS, which I mean is still archaic, but at least it's got a job system which is interesting enough to keep me through the game. This
Yeah.
is just, it gets bland.
It is.
If you ever do a single white-
compared to what we're used to now, it's really basic.
You ever do a
archaic.
one white mage
Yeah,
run,
the
Johnny?
soundtrack's still incredible.
The
But
soundtrack's nice.
Johnny, you
Uh,
ever do a one white mage run?
no, I've
A
only
one
beaten
thief run?
the original once. Other than that, I'm usually playing the PlayStation remake or the PSP remake. I think I have it on the GBA too.
Yeah.
But other than that, this is not this is not the Final Fantasy I was introduced to. I was introduced with 4, and I'm all the more better for that because 4 is just a better game.
Yeah.
This game gave us 8-bit theater. There's that.
I guess so.
Have either of you guys read 8-bit theater?
Yes,
yes.
I'm familiar with 8-bit theater, but
It's like one of the only good sprite comics on the internet. Read 8-bit theater.
All right, so I guess moving on to number 72, Grandia 2, which I've never heard of.
I've heard of Grandia. I've just, again, never played it.
there was a time when I first got my Dreamcast. My neighbor down the street before he moved let me sample some of his Dreamcast games, and Grandia 2 was one of them. And 15 minutes, I dropped it. it wasn't holding my interest, but maybe because I'm not exactly sure if you needed to play Grandia 1 in order to understand Grandia 2. But I wasn't getting any of the plot. I wasn't getting any of the characters, and gameplay wise, it wasn't holding me forever. So
yeah. All right, so moving on to number 71, The Bard's Tale.
Now, this is one of the first RPGs, pretty much, ever.
For video games from
look at the systems it was released for.
Do you walk around towns playing your lute? Singing of heroic tales.
What kind of story do you think they're telling?
That one time someone got drunk. And since likely none of us have ever played it.
Oh, yeah. I'm getting laughs out of the picture, though.
Yeah, so moving on to number 70, Demon Souls, which I've heard of because it's recent, but
I hear it's ball-bustingly hard.
Yeah.
I hear it's almost too hard from some people. And you know what? I feel like that's a fair complaint, because if you have to put in so much work to play a game that it becomes work, then I don't feel gratified by beating the challenge. I just feel like, I finally got that done. It's
Sure.
Yes. I mean, again, I haven't played this, but
is Dark Souls related to it?
Yeah, it's
it is.
sequel, prequel. I don't know which one comes.
It's related to it, but that's all I know.
I actually own Dark Souls. I got it last year, and I haven't touched it yet because I was in the period of I really couldn't play any new games. I was so busy doing everything else. But
yeah,
I'm gonna try it out. I'm not sure I need to play Demon Souls first, or
guess we'll see.
Yeah.
So moving on to number 69, it's Persona 3, Ted.
I've started this one. I haven't finished it.
Lewis.
From what I've seen of the plot, it's not better than 4, which I know the entire plot because I've watched the anime. So there's that, and that's important because it's an RPG.
Why don't you go shoot yourself in the head?
Battle mechanics, it's the same. It's apparently for the PS3 release, you don't get to control your party members. It's one of those games where the party members just do whatever the fuck they want, which bugs the shit out of me. I would have swapped 4 and 3.
Why don't you just go shoot yourself in the head? What? It heals you.
I don't get that.
It's
symbolic.
What do you get? What symbolism are you trying to prove with shooting yourself in the fucking head?
It's Atlas. They're about as subtle as a rock to the face.
It's still symbolic.
To be honest, I prefer the mainline Shin Megami Tensei series to Persona. But Persona, I feel, you know what? I feel like Persona's here just so that Atlas not Atlas, so that IGN can just avoid fanboy complaints, because everybody only ever talks about Persona, but I think that the mainline series is more interesting. Like Devil Survivor. If you've never played a Shin Megami Tensei game, play that.
Especially number 2 where you get to kill Hitler.
Yeah, Persona.
Who is just Fuhrer for some reason in the American version.
It's Hitler.
It's Hitler with awesome shades on. Hey. Moving on to number 68, though, unless you have something else to say, Ted.
Devil Survivor Overclock should be on this list, and it is not. So I would have placed that above both Personas.
Okay, so that's it for Atlas, I guess.
Pretty much, because Radiant Historia, another great Atlas RPG, is not on this list at all, which pisses me off.
All right, so moving on to number 68 is
Number 68 is Kingdom Hearts 2, which gameplay-wise, yes, it's refined, it's fixed from the original, but they really took some wrong turns here. For one thing, one thing, it's story. Its story does not do a very good job of drawing in new players who've never picked up a Kingdom Hearts game before. The biggest example I can think of is this game came out in 2006. About a few months earlier, I finally picked up Chain of Memories for the Game Boy Advance, and I started playing it, and I've beaten it, so I got more story elements out of it. Kingdom Hearts 2 does not bullshit around with the story. It assumes that you've played Chain of Memories, and it starts explaining all of those elements that were introduced to Chain of Memories and not so much the first game. My roommates were watching me play the game the entire time, and they're just fucking confused the entire way through because they have no idea what happened between 1 and 2 that they needed to play Chain of Memories to understand. And I was like, that's a problem because you shouldn't have to do that.
Also, the fact that you have to play 5 hours of the game before you get to the title screen.
That is still one of my most memorable parts of my college years, in my early college years, is that I've like 4 hours later after the tutorial sequence, the title screen appears, and my roommate just watching goes like, "What?" And I was like, I agree. Like a 4-hour tutorial just for the fucking title screen to show up. Jesus Christ! Like, I don't think I've ever seen a game do that.
So basically, Johnny, you think of Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts 1 what I think of Pikmin 2 and Pikmin 1.
And to an extent. I think I do like what Kingdom Hearts 2 introduced in terms of battle mechanics. I love how versatile Sora can get. There's a cost to this, though. The game is too fucking easy. Even on Proud Mode, which I had no problem beating, it's just there are way too many times where you can buff out Sora to the max, and all you have to do to win battles is just to mash X. You don't even have to move the analog stick. Sora will home in like a fucking torpedo towards the nearest Heartless and start flipping and doing all kinds of aerial acrobatic shit. It's way too easy.
But you can summon Mickey, huh?
Who gives a shit? Because of that, all the battles... the game really tends to get dull after a while, and other than that, it's still a solid game. I still like to pick up Kingdom Hearts 2 every now and then, but I'm not the one LPing it for my channel. It's Matt, because I'll LP 1 before I LP 2.
Okay, John. I guess the real question is it better than Final Fantasy IX?
No.
Well, back on the subject of Final Fantasy 67 is Tactics Advance.
Is Tactics Advance a sequel or a different game?
It's like a sub-series.
Well, I mean, is Tactics a sequel to Tactics Advance sequel to Tactics for PS1 or what?
Sequel. It's its own separate game.
Yeah.
But it's like the game. I think the game begins with the kids opening a book that tells the story of Evilus, which is the world that Tactics sets in, and then they're like transported into it. So it's not so much of a sequel. It's just that it's kind of set in the same world. It's just different characters and plots.
Mm-hmm.
But Tactics Advance, I had to get into. I borrowed it from a friend of mine. I let him borrow my Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, and he let me borrow this. And it was okay because my uncle initially tried to get me into Tactics, which he still claims is one of his favorite games of all time. I'm not seeing it. Sorry.
It's a decent game. Don't get me wrong, but
I can't. I really can't.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Mario Luigi, the next game is Partners in Time, which
easily the worst of the 3 Mario and Luigi games.
And it's the only one on this list.
What?
Only one here.
Me.
1 and 3 are so much better than 2.
Now, my only guess is that this is just picking Mario and Luigi Partners in Time is just supposed to say, okay, here's just our pick for Mario Luigi series. Bam, right here. Well, I don't agree with that, but that's the only reason I can understand Superstar Saga and Bowser's Inside Story not being here to begin with. Partners in Time sucked.
Partners in Time dragged. It dragged. I was like, oh, I never really had an RPG where I was like, when is this gonna end? Is this going somewhere? It's really not doing anything. And Snow, Superstar Saga, and Bowser's Inside Story are just so much better games. I enjoyed Superstar Saga. I enjoyed Bowser's Inside Story. Partners in Time, no, I did not enjoy it all.
It does not deserve to be on this list.
No, not at all.
Especially when this game is only barely above it.
Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door is 65.
Hell,
Okay, let's just get this out of the way.
His favorite
If this
RPG
were
of all
my
time.
list, this would be number one. However, since I know that my opinions and everyone else's opinions don't really match, I would have been happy if this was like somewhere in the 20 range, just because, you know what, I understand that it's not for everyone. But 65? And only barely above Partners in Time? I mean, really?
this is the only Paper Mario game I own. This is
It's the best Paper Mario game.
Yes,
I've-
it is.
my first experience with Paper Mario was through it. And I'm assuming Paper Mario, the original one, is not anywhere on this list.
No,
uh,
it isn't.
Okay, now we might have-
I'd be happy if Paper Mario 1 was in this spot, but not 2.
my first experience with Paper Mario was on a N64 emulator, and it was okay. I wasn't so much drawn into the gameplay style, and then for the GameCube,
Thousand-Year
again,
Door just adds a lot more complexity to the very basic style
Like-
one had.
add this again to the list of games my uncle just keeps talking the fuck out of that he wants me to try out, and it was this game right here. And he went on and on about it, and I was like, okay, let me borrow the game, let me try it. And I played it to no end. It was October actually. I spent the entire month of October playing this game, and it's great. I mean, the dialogue's great, gameplay mechanics are fun, and I have a lot of memories with this game.
Hey there, my
is
red paisano. Let me tell you
It's-
about my humorous adventures in which I really wish they would make a game out of.
It's easily first off, it's easily my favorite RPG generally, which means it's my favorite Mario RPG out of all of them. I just really love this game, and seeing it at 65 just like stabs me in the
as
heart.
far as Mario RPGs, though, it's kind of tied with me with Super Mario RPG because there are very different games. I could see myself playing both at any given time.
We'll see. Mario RPG is up higher on the list, so we'll get a chance
I
to talk.
thought so, but
I think it's too high, but we'll get to that when we get to that.
yeah. I guess we'll move on to number 64 then. This is not supposed to be higher than 9.
Not
Final
higher than
Fantasy.
Paper Mario.
Final Fantasy X.
It's Final
Not-
Fantasy X.
Please
Not-
kill them all, Sin.
Not
No.
better than Paper Mario. Not better than Persona.
Actually, okay. Well, look, this is, again, it's personal preferences here. I'll play 10 before I play Paper Mario: Thousand Year Door. That's me though, because
Fucking Blitzball.
I've actually played both games here.
Fucking Blitzball.
Look, I know 10 has its problems, but I think this game has a really horrible case of people exaggerating everything that's negative about the game.
Blitzball.
You only have to play Blitzball once, and even if you lose the game, the plot still advances. If you're talking about playing Blitzball over and over again for Waco's ultimate weapon, yes, I agree that is a big fucking problem. But okay, Blitzball, what? So what? So you have to play a game that doesn't really affect the story whatsoever.
Blitzball.
Lightning bolts.
Again,
Seymour.
that option.
Seymour's incredibly stupid hair.
Are you questioning character designs of a fucking Final Fantasy game? Really?
Sucky plot in general.
Terrible voice acting.
Titus.
Dice.
I enjoy 10's story. Okay, I'm going to be the odd man out here because I love Final Fantasy X. I really did enjoy playing it. I think the only problem with 10's story is that it's going to be completely shat on when 10-2 is out because 10-2 completely shits on the melodramatic melancholy of a story that 10 was. A lot of people got on Titus's, and that's his name. That's how his name's pronounced, by the way. It's Titus, it's not Titus.
Titus.
I understand.
Titus.
'Cause I call them Titus too. Titus there. a lot of people got on Tidus's case because he's so optimistic.
He's an
happy.
idiot. He's an idiot.
Idiot because he's not a fucking soldier. He's
Don't
not
tell
Cloud.
anyone. Don't
He's
tell
not-
anyone you're from Albed. I'm from Albed.
He's not Cloud. He's not Squall. He's not Zidane. He's
an idiot.
He's actually taking out of his element out of fucking nowhere, and now he's a guardian of this girl that needs to go on a pilgrimage to stop a giant fucking space whale.
He's an idiot. Don't tell anyone you're from Albed. Hey guys, I'm from Albed.
I think
this problem. I like Tidus as a character, and I enjoy 10 in general. 10 also introduced me to Auron, who I still think is one of the most badass Final Fantasy
Auron's the
characters
only
in
saving
existence.
grace of this game.
I think 10 has a fantastic soundtrack. I love its music.
Uematsu.
9's better.
So no, Uematsu actually only contributed some of the soundtrack of 10. He actually had help this time.
9's
You know what? I don't blame him
better.
because after 9, which he composed all of, and that's like over 119 tracks there, I'd imagine he'd be wiped out at this point. But I
9's
enjoyed
better.
10. 10 is a good game to me. And you know what? Fuck you both. Because
9's better.
convince me otherwise. Yeah, I agree that 9 is better. Yes, you're not. I firmly believe that 9 is a better game. But 10 to me is also a great game, and I'm looking forward to like the eventual LP or Brain Scratch run because I have a lot to talk about. I have a lot of
the
memories.
200-part brain scratch run.
And you're going to be playing every Blitzball match just to spite me, aren't you?
Why would I don't like Blitzball, but I can understand why people will hate it. But at the same time, it's not fucking required. So stop bitching. And that laugh that everyone keeps mentioning, it's supposed to be awkward and bad. It was supposed to be awkward and bad. People take that laugh so out of context all the time. It's like, why they're laughing like that, right?
I don't care. It's still stupid.
It's supposed to be stupid.
John thinks Final Fantasy X is a good game.
Fuck you. Anyway.
Moving on.
Moving on to another game that has the same status of Tales of Symphonia. I was going to get to it eventually, but never did. Skies of Arcadia.
How much is this going for?
Quite a bit more than Tales, or so I heard.
Hold on, now I gotta check.
So yeah, same thing I say to Tales of Symphonia. I was meant to always get around to playing it, but never did.
Skies of Arcadia. Is this Skies of Arcadia Legends or what?
The Skies of Arcadia.
Because Legends is $123.
Jeez.
But you keep looking at the new price. Stop that.
Sorry.
37.
Skies of Arcadia.
So does anyone have
Sega
anything
Dreamcast. Used 29, new 300.
So does anyone have anything legit to say about the game other than its price?
No.
God damn. Heard of it?
What? Yeah.
No, but the next game I'm sure people have something to say about.
Wee wee. Twee wee.
Number 2 is The World Ends With You.
Twee wee.
I've never seen such a split on a game, because there's either you absolutely hate this one,
Wee wee.
or you love it to death.
Twee wee.
God damn it. This was a game that I hated off the characters alone. It just annoyed the fuck out of me. And maybe it's because I'm generally more of an optimistic kind of guy. I like it when my characters are, a little more cheery than usual. But at the same time, I can understand why you get your moody characters that eventually warm up at the end of the game. But this one just... Well, granted, it's not just story. It was also the battle mechanic. I hate the
Fashion.
And it's...
Twee wee.
Like, I really wanted to try and like this game because I heard so many good things about it, and I've heard, the criticisms as well, and I tried to play it. Nothing really stuck out from this game with me. And then I see these characters in Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, and, alright.
Twee wee. I do give Square Enix credit for this, and I haven't used a Chrono character in Kingdom Hearts yet, which would make me want to kill them, but...
Ooh. Chrono Cross.
Yeah,
is next.
I know. I was going to do that as a convenient segue.
I saw through your illusion.
So yes, number 61 is Chrono Cross. Not as good as the Super Nintendo game, but it's still a pretty good game.
Oh, you knew that Chrono Trigger was going to be higher up
Oh,
than
of
this.
course.
That's pretty much assumed at this point. But Chrono Cross is the sequel to Chrono Trigger, and this is one I actually do have Chrono Cross.
The pseudo sequel to Trigger.
So I plan on playing the game at one point because I love Chrono Trigger so much. Even though Chrono Cross's battle mechanics are
Weird.
a little different.
From what I can tell of the story, it's barely related to Trigger at all.
Hence why I say pseudo sequel.
Yeah, but from what I hear though, it's still a fantastic game, and
It's not a bad game by any means. Just as a supposed sequel to Trigger, it's very weird and just kind of jarring. But
this is the game I plan on playing. I just don't have the time for it yet.
yep. So I guess moving on to number 60 is EVE Online, which we're in space.
Have any of us played this one?
I knew people in college who played it a lot.
I only know the name of it. I don't know what it's about. I'm skimming the description here, and I'm not getting anything. So,
Moving on to number 59, Phantasy Star 4. Look at everyone's backs.
I hear this is a really good RPG for the Genesis, which isn't really known for having the best RPGs.
They pretty much had Phantasy Star, and that was it. And a bit of Panzer Dragoon.
I don't think you should bother.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never tried this one.
Me neither.
I think I might have played. No, I haven't. I've said earlier that I've only played Phantasy Star Online 2.
Yeah.
I've only seen pieces of Phantasy Star 2. And that's about it, though. Number 58 is Freedom Force. What the hell am I looking at here?
Image Comics.
Is that Captain America's grandfather in the middle there?
Revolution Randy.
This is weird.
Such an art contrast.
Well, at least gave us that laugh.
Yeah, okay. This deserves a spot just for the chuckle.
Yeah.
Not above Paper Mario.
Or 9, but whatever.
Well, again, I don't know how to compare it, but I think it's a safe assumption that I'd still like 9 more.
Yeah. Moving on to number 57, Lewis. It's Mass Effect. It's Mass Effect 2, which none of us have anything to say on, and Lewis isn't here.
Again, another series that I'm meaning to pick up and play, especially since Lewis is gonna record the game for us for the channel.
Eventually.
I don't hate being left in the dark in an RPG. I really do.
Hold on. Let me try to see how much it's going for on Steam, just so that I...
It's not
just
that high, I don't think.
Let's see, Mass Effect... Oh, $20 for both Mass Effect 1 and 2.
Together?
Well, not together. No, $20 each.
That's not too bad.
But then again,
yeah. So anyone else have anything to say on Mass Effect?
No.
it's at this point, it's one of those games that we're going to commentate over it. You'll find out more.
Yeah. And Johnny, you've been kind of cutting in and out lately.
I assume it's your fault, Ryan, because you're the one who's hosting.
You're coming in just fine, Ted. So.
Yeah. Number 56.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, there you are.
Let us cling together.
Number
I've
56
never
is
played Tactics Ogre.
Tactics Ogre. Let us cling together. Never played it.
It's like, I believe it's like Final Fantasy Tactics, only it's not in terms of plot and settings. That's the only thing I know about it, though.
Yeah. So if that's it, moving on to number 55, Monster Hunter Tri, which I've never played.
This was something I was meaning to pick up, but I just didn't for whatever reason at the time.
Yeah.
I know that it's insanely popular over in Japan, but I've never given it a shot, so I don't know what to say.
Me neither.
Is it like a more serious version of Pokemon?
Essentially.
No, I don't think you're controlling monsters. I think you're just sort of beating them up.
Well, if that's all we had to say on that, number 54, Neverwinter Nights, Neverwinter Nights 2, which I've heard of but never played.
I've never heard of it, so I haven't even... Yeah.
Subscribers, assemble!
So moving on to number 53, then Spoonie.
Ultima 7.
Noah, where are you? We need your expertise.
I'm sorry, every time I see Ultima 7, I just think it's the 7th level Ultima spell in a Final Fantasy. It's like, this is the one that nukes the Earth, right?
Well, there is a spell to nuke the Earth in the Ultimate games. Well, in some of them anyway.
What kind of RPG is this?
It's, from what I can tell, the Ultima games are very non-linear. Well, I mean, like, there's an end goal, but you get to do pretty much whatever you want on your way to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure how they play because I've never tried one of them, but I hear they're, well, not all of them. I hear most of them are very good.
Yeah. No,
Number 52 is a game that's been sitting in my collection collecting dust for like 5 years now, and I haven't played it yet.
Odin Sphere.
It's Odin Sphere for the PlayStation 2.
Never played it. I am assuming you haven't either, Ted.
No.
PlayStation 2, he doesn't have one, so that's a given.
Yeah. I figured I'd ask just in
Odin
case.
Sphere is developed by Vanillaware, who are really known for the beautiful 2D visual art style. You know, and I'll agree, Odin Sphere is a fantastic looking 2D game. It's just, again, like a lot of other RPGs I have in my stock, just sitting collecting dust, waiting for that moment for me to, sit down and invest my time into it.
Yeah, so I guess we should move on to number 51. Lewis!
Why did he pick this RPG to, not the RPG, this list to drop out?
Number 51 is Wild Arms. Lewis!
Wild Arms. I've only seen this game in action once, and it was in '97, the year it was released. And I believe it was overhead view, the way the RPG set up. So I got both Zelda and Final Fantasy vibes from it, but other than that, no.
Lewis.
I really have nothing else to say.
Lewis.
There's a lot of Wild Arms games, aren't there now?
Yeah.
There's quite a few, I know that.
So I guess moving on to number 50, a game I really like, Golden Sun for the Game Boy Advance.
Never played it.
Me neither.
It's really good. A bit simplistic at times, or kind of beats around the bush, but it's a pretty straightforward RPG that's really good at killing the time, and I think it's a fair spot where it is kind of just middle of the road.
Alright, if it's simplistic, then I'll consider it.
At the very least, it's an attempt from Nintendo's, well, at least Nintendo's second party, to do something a bit different. At least rather than just, hey, we have this fantasy RPG, let's shoehorn in another franchise. It's, hey, let's try and make our own kind of Final Fantasy-ish game.
Yeah.
And it works for the most part.
Yeah, I would say, again, there's one thing I hate is when an RPG is a little too complex for my taste, and if Golden Sun, according to you,
it's pretty
is simple.
It's pretty simple.
I'll pick it up. Maybe
Pretty much everyone has their own little elemental class, and that's strong or weak to certain monsters or enemies and stuff, and it's basically just... There's some level of variability with it, like you can lean a bit more towards special attacks or physicals or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's pretty much just, here's your elemental type characters, they do such and such. Find what works best against these enemies. Yeah, so moving on to number 49, I guess, is Dragon Quest V.
I've played this one. They've got the PlayStation 2 port here. I've played the DS version, which is basically the same thing. This is a very good game. I think it's about a fair spot where it is, but Dragon Quest IV, which I generally consider to be better, is not on this list at all, which still bugs me.
Mm-hmm.
Dragon Quest V does a very good... Well, one of the things that Dragon Quest is just not very good at is telling an engaging narrative. It's more about the adventure than any sort of story. Dragon Quest V does a very good job at getting you invested. Like, you play the game in different eras. Like, you start off as a little kid, then you're a young adult, then you're sort of an older guy. In the first section of the game, near the end of that section, your dad, who had been tagging along with you the entire time, gets killed by a couple of boss characters, and they show this in a battle screen where he's just sitting there using the defend option over and over because he's not allowed to attack them, and then they attack him until his health runs out, and then he dies. So the game does a very good job at mixing its mechanics with the storytelling and actually making it an emotional moment. So I'll give the game credit for being a good storytelling experience. It's just that some of the mechanics, like you recruit monsters to join your party, and it's incredibly random and wonky. And it's a little bit grind happy, so it's got its problems, but it's still a good game
I was
overall.
about to say, we know how you feel about grinding. Yeah, so I guess moving on to number 48, Tales of Destiny, which I haven't heard of.
This
It's
was the first one to make it to the West.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never played a Tales game, so I wouldn't know.
Well, I mean, it had to be really successful if we got all the other Tales games here. Not all of them, mind you, but
Enough of them.
yeah, enough of them to, have a decent fan base here. Maybe one day. One day.
Yeah, so moving
I doubt
on. You doubt it. Moving on to number 47, Xenogears. I've never played. How about you, John? Since you're probably the only one here who actually made it.
My webpage is still loading. I have no idea what the hell it is, and you kind of cut out there. What am I missing?
Xenogears.
Xenogears.
Xenogears. Nope, never played it.
The Xeno games all sort of have different. Like, I hear mixed things about both Xenogears and Xenosaga. I've never played them, but I hear like this game is really plot happy.
I hear all the Xeno titles are like that, aren't they?
Blade has a little bit less plot, but that game has its own problems, which we'll get to soon enough.
Alright, so I guess moving on to number 46 then. Pool of Radiance. Never played.
Me neither.
I can't. Why is my internet suddenly sucking?
Yeah.
Are you plugged in?
It's a 1988 RPG.
Well, obviously I am if I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
Well, I meant like Ethernet cord.
No, I'm wireless.
Yeah, that may be why.
From
but-
what I'm reading, they're trying. It looks like they're trying to take the D&D
experience and put it into a game, yeah.
mechanics and put it into a computer, which I don't think would work at all. Part of what makes D&D work so well is that you're spending time with other people, and I just don't think that would translate to a computer screen at all.
Nope. Alright, so I guess number 45 then, Disgaea. Heard of it, never played it.
Yeah, another tactical turn-based strategy RPG. No, I've had the when I was in the Too Many Games Expo, a girl approached me who she recognized me from my channel, asked me if I love this series so much. It's like, I've heard of Disgaea, but I never really had a reason to pick up and play it.
Yep. Yeah, number 44 then, Suikoden 2.
This is a game a friend of mine tried to get me to play, but I just never really had a whole lot of interest.
Heard of it, never played it. You, John?
No.
So I guess moving on to number 40.
43
Valkyria
is...
Chronicles.
Valkyria Chronicles.
Lewis.
Which I know is Lewis's
Lewis.
the one list he had to skip.
He's gonna be shooting. He's gonna be, bad mouthing us in the comments or something.
Oh, I had to sleep.
Fuck you, personal hygiene.
Moving on to number.
Oh no.
Number 42 then.
Again, another game I've heard of, but I never really
Number
played.
4. Let me say it out loud.
I never had interest in it.
No. Yeah.
Number 42 is another Lunar game.
Lunar
Silver
Star
Star
Story.
Story. Alliteration for the win.
This is the one I hear the most about, and I hear it's good.
Heard about it. That's
yeah,
about
I
it.
don't know. I've only just recently started to delve into all these old RPG series, so I've only really gotten as far as like Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest. I still need to get into more obscure things.
Yeah, I'm gonna. You know what it is? I want to get into more RPGs like you, but at this point, I'm just gonna wait until Let's Playing to actually experience some of them.
Yeah.
Like blind runs?
Well, practice runs before LP.
Yeah.
So I guess moving on to number 41, Xenoblade Chronicles. Hey, Ted. This is
Okay,
all yours.
I've played half of this. So, have either of you guys tried it?
Nope.
I have the game, but I haven't touched it yet.
Okay, so then I guess I'm going to be the main helm here. People really, really like this game. Like, they really, really like this game. And I can see why they like this game, but I have lots of problems with this being at where it's supposed to be.
I was waiting for
First
the but.
off, this game is like 80 hours long, and it came out in April. So I don't think that whoever made this list has played the game enough for them to really have a good sense of it. Because I mean, you need to play a game like at least twice in order to see how well it really holds up. And I don't think anybody has their time to play Xenoblade twice in the amount of time we've even had the chance to. So, yeah, first off, knock against that. Second off, the game has a really nice soundtrack, and the characters are decent, but there's just too much. It's too big. There's too much to do. Like, there's lots of streamlining involved. Like, there's time of the day. You can change that whenever you want. You can warp back to any landmark you've already been to. The side quests are given a nice little list, and once you complete the side quest, you immediately get the reward without having to do any backtracking. There's lots and lots of nice little design things in here that would make it a streamlined experience. But, you know, after I get, like, halfway through my side quest list and I have to kill another 5 nameless enemies and try to grind for another couple of nameless, stupid item drop, it just got dull because there was just too much in it. But I didn't want to go straight onto the plot because lots of these side quests go away if you don't do them in time. So it's
you're talking about from the perspective of a person trying to do every single thing in the game possible.
Well, the game urges you to do these things because if you don't do them now, you'll never get them again. And doing side quests is the only reliable way to get money. So,
well, I mean, a lot of RPGs always encourage you to do side quests, but whether or not will it have any bearing on the actual plot is
none of them have a bearing on the plot. None of them are interesting. And the rewards don't seem worth it initially, but you feel like you have to do it because you know later on when you're just trying to upgrade basic equipment, you're going to get shortchanged on money. And the plot's nice, I guess, but I didn't find it engaging enough. By the time I got to hour 40, I was getting sick of having to go through filler locations.
Do you think does Xenoblade Chronicles work for you as a game where, let's say, if you ignored the side quest and just decided to follow the plot, would you get there like half the time?
I don't know. I don't know.
I really got to pick up the game myself.
I think I just, there was too much. It overwhelmed me. I put the game down for a week, just say, I'm going to take a break, and I never felt motivated to pick it back up. I feel like the last story, which is the other Operation Rainfall game, was just better because it was concise. I could finish it, and I didn't feel like there was too much to do. And that game's not on the list at all, which bugs me, but I just had my problems with this. Again, a lot of it's personal taste, but I don't know. I felt like this was overhyped.
Yeah. Moving on to number 40 then. Ogre Battle, The March of the Black Queen.
I've never played this one either.
No.
Battletoads Black Queen? No. No. All right. Number 39.
Spoony.
Ultima Underworld.
Spoony. The Stingy and Abyss.
I never played it.
Spoony.
I never played any Ultima game. Assuming they're related.
Yes.
They all take place in the same world, and you're the same guy, and some characters come back and forth from what I hear, but I don't think a lot of the plots are really all that interconnected.
Yeah. So moving on. Number 38 is Phantasy Star 2.
For the Sega Genesis.
Oh, that good old twang. Or music.
Okay, number 37.
37 is Guild Wars.
Guild Wars.
Never played.
Me neither.
Heard of plenty of times, and MMO, I believe.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can. You can just tell what kind of game it is from the screenshot sometimes, and you can just get MMO out of the screenshot here. So, no. Number 36.
Lewis.
I've actually seen my uncle play this a hell of a lot back in 95. The game came out in 94, but I remember clearly of him playing the game out of this. And you know what? There's just something about it that just didn't draw me in like Final Fantasy did. You know, its battle system was a little disjointed, and Lewis's LP kind of reminded me of that. And no, it's too different and different enough for me to not want to consider playing it. Maybe I'm wrong though. Maybe I'm missing out on something great here, but I'm gonna stay away from now.
Number 35. Hey Ted, is something we can talk about. It's Pokemon Black and White.
Pokemon Black and White. I really liked Black and White. thankfully, Gen 4 is not on this list.
Thankfully, yes.
You do not know how happy
Yes.
I was to see that Gen 4 was not on this list.
Yeah.
How many people do you think you're pissing off now?
I don't care. They're wrong.
I just like Gen 4 too. Not counting the remakes, not counting Fire Red, Leaf Green, and Heart Gold, Soul Silver, I think Black and White is the best since Gen 2.
Yes, it is. Black and White, first off, it's the only time Pokemon's had a good plot.
The whole way through.
Yeah, so,
Gold and Silver had a decent plot for the time and the system it was on, but...
Well, Gold and Silver has a very different approach to its plot, where it's more focused on making an immersive world as opposed to telling, like, a story. So, in this, Black and White tells a story, which is good. So, I guess it's just whatever you like better. I appreciate the attempt to make a plot that's not terrible, though, so good for that.
Even though they did kind of pull a hijacked by Ganon at the end, but...
Well, we all expected him to be the villain.
Well, true, but...
Black and White, I mean, they really did go all out. Like, they upped the presentation, finally. They went all out with a new set of Pokemon without having to backlog. They tried to make a good story. It's a very, very good game. I think it's appropriate where it is right now, but knowing what other Pokemon games make it, we'll get to that later.
All right. Well, the only problem I really have with Black and White, and to each his own, obviously, is each and every Pokemon game has their amount of tutorial in it to get players familiarized with the mechanics. Black and White, in a way, is trying to start over, like you mentioned, without having to worry about too much of his backlog. But at the beginning of the game, I just feel like I'm getting stopped every 2 fucking seconds to learn how a button works. From my perspective, as a person who's played other Pokemon games before, it's incredibly annoying. Maybe not so much for the newcomer, which is why they did it in the first place, but I can't walk 2 fucking steps without somebody stopping me to tell me about something. It's like, can I read a sign?
Before you get on with that, Johnny, I think that's less of a Pokemon problem, more of a Nintendo problem.
Yeah.
Because the last, 5 or 6 years, they've really had a problem with tutorials and explaining things, making you stop every 5 feet.
And being fair, as soon as you get out of the first town, they pretty much give you your Pokeballs, and then they just say, "Go, leave." So I mean, the first 10 minutes might be a little tutorial happy, but other than that,
Yeah, once you get past the first town, it's pretty much do whatever you want.
Yeah. No HMs.
Yeah, no fucking HMs. and reusable TMs. Thank fucking God.
Yeah, there are a lot of mechanics that Black and White introduced that I am really especially fond of. No HMs for one thing. I always
reuse TMs.
It's about fucking time, really. I don't know why it took them this long to do that. And reusable TMs, yeah.
That's something that should have been done from the get-go.
Black and White is still a little too familiar in some aspects, but it's definitely a step in the right direction to make it fresh again.
At least they did the presentation stuff that we've been egging them on to do since Gen 4.
Animated sprites. Upping the actual graphical quality.
Yeah, animated sprites. Even just angling the camera differently was able to make it feel fresh.
Well, and the battles just moved a lot faster.
Yeah,
Gen 4 is so slow.
That's one thing I really hate about Gen 4 is how fucking slow the battles are.
So if we have nothing left to say on Black and White,
we'll be able to talk more about Pokemon
later.
I
know we will. So, number 34 is Fallout. Lewis.
I can't suck at improv.
So we got nothing.
No.
Yes.
Number 30.
Number 3, I had nothing for either.
No.
Number 32, Morrowind.
Lewis.
God damn it. So somebody wake his ass up.
This was his list. His list.
This really was his list. That he decided to sleep over it. Okay, just for clarification, just people are not following the list with us. 34 was Ultima Online, the first one, and 33 was something else, and 32 was the Elder Scrolls Morrowind. This was the third one, I think.
Yes.
Second.
The second one.
Oh, whatever. I can't remember, and I don't care.
I have not played these. They just seem too aimless for me.
Yep.
Number 31 is Neverwinter Nights, the first one.
Never played.
Never played.
Heard of it, but that's
Have I-
about it. So I guess number 30 is Jade Empire. Never played.
This is the same. Yeah, it is BioWare.
Yeah. One of their lesser-known games, I'm assuming.
And why is it lesser known?
I don't know.
Because it's not Star
Star
Wars.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, guys, just so you know, Sonic Chronicles isn't here.
Thank God.
It better fucking not be.
It's somehow above Final Fantasy IX. Well, then, wait. Never mind. It would never, even if it was a good game, it wouldn't be on this list. This is IGN. They hate Sonic, regardless of what he's in.
Good point.
There is that too, yes.
But anyway, number 29
A slime
is
appears.
Dragon Quest 1.
A slime appears.
Okay. This game is historically significant because without Dragon Quest, RPGs probably wouldn't be a thing. You have to understand how massively popular this game is in Japan. That it pretty much made every RPG after it possible. Like Final Fantasy wouldn't be around without Dragon Quest. With that said, it's aged about as well as 7-year-old milk.
I think it aged worse than Final Fantasy 1.
You grind for the entire fucking game. You do nothing else.
It's dated. It's really dated.
A slime
I
appears.
could understand putting it maybe at like 70 for historical significance, but not above Paper Mario, Persona 3, Final Fantasy 9, Pokemon Black and White.
It's a game that has not stood the test of time well because you got to remember back in '89, this was no internet, so kids weren't sidetracked so easily. They either went outside and exercised, or they grind because this was an activity. It was the equivalent of a hobby, like
Nintendo hard.
yeah. So in today's world, this game is damn near unplayable, except for
The hardest of the core, but
for the hardest of hardcore gamers or for the curious like me, because I do want to play this game. I've seen my uncle play this game so many damn times back in the early '90s that I was curious, but not again. It didn't draw me in like Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy just did a lot of things right for me, and I'll give Dragon Quest some flack because it was the first. Well, one of the first, I should say.
It's the first console RPG. As far as I know, it's pretty much the first.
well, no, there are other RPGs on consoles, but
Well, this was the first. This was,
The
from what I
first
can tell,
big
this is
one.
the first console RPG, or at least the first console JRPG. So, John, if you want to give Dragon Quest a shot, I'd play either 4 or 5 on the DS. Don't jump straight to 1, because you'll hate it. There's so much grinding. You'll probably want to shoot yourself within the first 10 minutes.
I'm going to give it a shot anyway, just because
curious.
Play 4
Yeah,
first.
sure.
Please play 4 first. It's a good game, I promise.
All right, so number 28 is Fallout 2.
Fallout
Lewis.
Lewis!
Oh, that's not what it was called. Number 27 is
Dragon Quest 8.
Dragon Quest 8.
This is basically the Final Fantasy VII of Dragon Quest, where it's the most popular one.
Yeah, I was about to
I
say.
haven't played it, so I don't know how well it stacks up against 4 and 5 and 6. 6 is meh. But I hear it's really good, so I'm going to take their word for it.
Okay, so I guess moving on to number 26, Noah. It's
What? Hold on a
Ultimate
second.
Ultima 4.
4 Quest of the
Ultima
Avatar.
4.
I think this is his favorite, actually.
I think he said 5 was his favorite.
Well, it's somewhere around his upper.
4 is one of his favorites, I think.
Yeah, but still, Noah.
Like we'll ever get Spoonie to guest commentate. What are we thinking?
That would be awesome, though.
It would be awesome, but it's never going to happen.
Alright, number 25 is Deus Ex. Also known as the guy who looks like Schwarzenegger on the cover.
You get Schwarzenegger out of this guy? It kind of looks
Oh.
like a... I don't know what the hell he looks like to me, but not Schwarzenegger.
All I know is that he wears his sunglasses at night.
Well, no, he's wearing sunglasses for a good reason. He's staring into a beam of light. You
I've
don't want the
heard-
guy squinting on the cover.
I've heard Deus Ex is a good game, but I've never played it myself.
I've heard it's aged. I hear it's aged a bit, but I'm gonna assume it's still good.
I'm a bit more familiar with its sequel where I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for this. There's a comic of him going through a drive-through. I'll order a burger with. I'll order a cheeseburger and fries. Gets nuggets. I didn't ask for this. So I guess moving on to number 24 is Lewis.
Lewis!
Baldur's Gate.
Number 24 is Baldur's Gate, a game that Lewis constantly references with
Gusto.
sequiturs that none of us get, and I think he giggles inside like a little schoolgirl every time he does that. These fuckers never played the game, but I have. I am popular. Or you're
Lewis,
just
I hope your dreams are haunted with nightmarish visions of Kirby enemies right about now.
Marks. So moving on to number 23 is Phantasy Star Online.
This was the wait, was it this game that I played, or was it the sequel?
Dreamcast?
Yeah.
If it's Dreamcast only, then it might have been this one, but I'm pretty sure it was the sequel. Hold on, I'm getting my games confused here because was there a sequel?
There
Yes.
was well, hold on a second. I'm gonna check to see if hold on, online.
Yeah, a quick Google
Online
search.
2 is not on the Online 2 is not on the list. So if you want to talk about that, why don't you just take the time to talk about it now?
No, I have nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
It's just that no, this was the game I was thinking about. Phantasy Star Online 2 is not even out yet, and that's not coming out until next year. Yeah, this was the game that I've sampled a bit, and
I've heard good things about the game overall.
it's one of those you needed an internet connection in order to fully enjoy.
Yeah.
It has online in its title for a reason, because it was one of the games that actually used the Dreamcast's 56K modem.
Revolutionary for its time.
Did that date you just now? 56K modem.
That hurts my soul.
Hey, would you rather have it on dial-up?
It was dial-up. You needed a fucking phone jack in order to use it.
It wasn't quite dial-up, but... Yeah, just thinking about that makes me squirm a bit.
Don't pick up the fucking phone!
But again, it was revolutionary for its time.
Yes.
Once
was.
again, a
It
great
was one of the most popular online RPGs when it was first released.
Again,
that's one thing that Cass got right, is it knew how to, wow the crowd, and then the PS2 just came out. I'm going to shit all over your shit.
Yeah. Once again, Sega makes a great technological advancement. Everyone else reaps the rewards.
Yeah.
CD technology for games. Dual processors for gaming systems online. Nope. Sega gets none of that.
Number 22.
Lewis!
Da-da-da-da.
The Elder Scrolls Oblivion. I remember there was a time where people just wouldn't shut the fuck up about this
Yeah,
game.
I know.
I
Me
had a
too.
friend in school who would never talk about anything else, and it bugged the fuck out of me because I had no interest.
This was
None.
the first game I saw the 360 in action with. It was this and Dead Rising.
I like
where
Dead
was
Rising,
introduced to
though.
the 360 with, and visually speaking, I thought it looked great. It was like, wow, the 360 can do this, and I'm looking forward to the future. But in the end, it's still an Elder Scrolls game, and I don't like Elder Scrolls. It's just one of those games that there's just too much to do. I can't invest in something like that. I hate when I spend way too much fucking time on one game. I'll go on and say that I've played games I love like over millions of times. Like I stated in the 6th commentary that I played that game like 40 some times, but that was over the course of years. And to me, this is a game that would take years to finish once.
I understand there's a need for that, but unless if it's a game that really doesn't have an end, like Guitar Hero or something, I just like the ending to be in sight, and the sidetrack stuff should be a bonus, not the goal of the game, because most people I know who play Elder Scrolls run far away from the plot.
Yeah.
Alright, so I guess we should move on to number 21. Super Mario
Mario RPG.
RPG. It is the only one just for me. When I play the game, I get lost in
We
a
all
haze.
have all our experiences with this. Ryan, I think you're the biggest nut of it between the three of us.
I really do like this game.
This was a game that I've seen since its. I remember the commercial for this game actually.
Me too.
Uh,
This is actually technically maybe not the first RPG I ever played, because I'm sure I fiddled around with something before it, but
Yeah.
remember I was born in 1990, so for 1995 it was the first RPG I really remember playing for a long period of time.
This
'Cause
is
this was before Pokemon came over, so
This was right as my Final Fantasy high really started kicking in, and I heard that it
it's
was
basically
an
Final
RPG
Fantasy
game
with
developed by Square.
yeah, it's
So,
basically Final
okay.
Fantasy with Mario characters.
Yeah, and okay, I'm down with that. Unfortunately, I didn't get to play the game until like 2003 or four when I was really getting into emulators. And I didn't finish the game then and there because at that point I was just too distracted with high school work. But it wasn't until the game came out on the Virtual Console like 3 years ago where I finally sat down and played the game from beginning to end, and I actually really had a good time.
Yeah.
It's pretty much Final Fantasy with Mario characters, and I was able to relate to it in so many aspects and levels.
It's not quite as complicated as certain Final Fantasy games, which I think is intentional because it's Mario and they wanted to make it a bit more accessible.
Yes,
And I think it works just fine. It's a simple RPG that a lot of people can just jump in and play.
indeed.
Okay, okay, I'm gonna be the,
And the music
odd
is
guy
great.
out here. Paper Mario 1 and 2 were games that I played a lot when I was a kid. And when I got on the internet, just in general, everybody really talked about how great Super Mario RPG is. It's one of those games that nobody on the internet would ever shut up about. So, before I got a chance to play it, I always had this vision in my mind that Mario RPG would be like this amazing, spectacular, jaw-dropping game. And when I finally got to playing it, it just wasn't. I'm just so used to
it may have been a bit of product of your time, because when it got hyped
I'm
up for
so
you
used
and
to Paper Mario and Thousand Year Door that the battle system in this just felt jarring to me, and I don't like the art style.
well, I think you were
That's
I think you were
a
just
problem with
I
me.
think you were
I
just a
don't
bit
like the art style.
I think you were just a bit late to the party.
I think I was.
Because for 1995 the writing was great.
If it makes you feel any better, Ted, I agree that the art style to me it's aged faster than it should have. You know, because it's one thing I really don't like the battlefields, like everything's on a square platform, and
Yeah.
I like it's like Miyamoto attempted to. No, I wouldn't say Miyamoto because I wasn't sure how he had in this.
I think he
He
just
had
kind of gave
created this
permission to use the characters, and that was about it.
They were trying to jump on the Donkey Kong Country graphics bandwagon with Mario, and to me, I think Donkey Kong Country aged better visually than Super Mario RPG did.
Well, my problem is just with the character designs that isn't like Mario. Nothing really looks like it should belong in a Mario world. And again, I think that it's just
What's that? Nintendo trying something different.
Well, it's not just it doesn't. It just feels weird just to be weird, not different because it would make the game feel better.
Yeah.
Now, I have a problem with this being at 21 since the other two Mario RPGs are much lower on the list. I would have been a little bit happier if this was if they were all next to each other. So IGN would just be like, here are the Mario RPGs. They're all pretty much the same. Pick whichever one's your favorite. I don't agree. I mean, I love Mario RPG's soundtrack, and it's a decent first attempt. I just think that the Paper Mario games did a better job.
I love the humor for back in the day, considering how bad game writing was in general at the time. It was really quite funny.
I will say that this game did start the trend of Bowser being hilarious.
Yes.
But
it is still a solid game, and I recommend anybody that, especially if you enjoyed Final Fantasy. Yeah, it's a bit dumbed down from Final Fantasy, but it's still a fun game.
Yeah.
Thousand Year Door is better.
Debatable.
I can take either or.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Either or, it doesn't matter to me.
So
Wrong.
Shut up. So move on to number 20, a game I saw all over the place but never played, EverQuest.
Never. I couldn't. Why? Just why? It's an MMO, and I've heard so many bad things about this game.
Yeah.
Like what it does to I'm not talking more about the game itself,
but
it's
what it does to people.
I've
It was
like
WoW before
countless
WoW.
real addiction stories for EverQuest.
Like I said, it was WoW before WoW. Pretty much. I know EverQuest fans don't like being told that's what it is, but
Well,
that's
boo-hoo,
that's what it is.
If it was a massively popular MMO that people were losing sleep over, then yes, it was WoW before WoW. Shut up.
So I guess moving on to number 19, a game I've heard a lot of praise for but never played myself, System Shock 2.
Hipster Bioshock, that's what I like to call it.
Pretty much.
Bioshock.
That's what it is. Oh, I played System Shock 2 before Bioshock came out. You're hipsters, all of you. I'm not going to say the game's bad because I've never played it, but just shut up. Seriously, no one cares.
Yeah, I have to agree with Ted on this one. I did hear that a lot when Bioshock first came out. Oh, you're saying you're saying you're interested in System Shock 2 now that Bioshock's out? You're such squares.
No, it's not even that. It's not even that. It's just that the fans of this game will just like get onto people for liking Bioshock because they'll say it's dumbed down or some boring shit
it's
or some
fucking
shit.
not.
And I'm just like, just shut up. You're the reason why people make fun of PC gamers. You
Pretty
do
much.
realize that, right?
Alright, so moving on to number 18, Dark Souls.
Dark Souls. Okay, this is the one I actually I do own for the PS3. I haven't played it yet though, but yeah, I'm skimming the description and it says it's like a grown-up Zelda.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, this is another game that I think is a little bit too new to be this high, because you need time for especially RPGs to sink in. Because a game that's great when you first play it might have some glaring issues that you only see on a second playthrough.
Mm-hmm. So I guess moving on to number 17,
Earthbound.
Earthbound.
Oh boy! All right, guys, ready your shields.
I've got mine 10 feet tall, Johnny.
I generally enjoyed the game, but I think it's really aged.
I just don't get it. I don't. This was one of the first games I actually tried out on the emulator.
Here's what I think.
Because word of mouth was just that rampant. Before I became such an internet nerd, and you know, it's just I wanted to try it out, and I'm playing it, and it's just not going anywhere. I don't find the story interesting. Maybe I'm just not that sophisticated. I don't know. I don't care. It's not that good.
Well, here's kind of what I think it ultimately kind of is in terms of why people like it and kind of talk about it, is that it's, I don't want to compare the two games themselves, but it's kind of was Persona before Persona. It was an RPG that took place in a very different, normalish setting, did a lot of really weird characters and designs, and just did a lot of weird things just to try and be weird and different rather than just generic Fantasyland to fantasy.
I get that, but just from like a straight presentation standpoint, and yes, graphics and music do matter, especially when it's a fucking RPG. This game came out in '95, so it's within a year of Final Fantasy VI, Dragon Quest VI, Phantasy Star 4, and the game just looks awful. This is NES quality graphics, and it's just unacceptable at that point in time. And I'm not going to question the quality of the compositions themselves, but the quality of the sound chip, like the instruments that play, is terrible. So it's not a very pleasant game to look and sound to, which are very important when you're playing something that you need to play for 30 hours.
Yeah.
I just never got the appeal. Was this a game that I needed to own back when it came out in '95 to get? Are people just defending this game because of the nostalgia goggles? I don't know.
Hipster factor.
I think it's more to do to them other fanboys being absolutely apeshit a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we have our experience that we got because we come from the fucking Sonic fan base and we're about as rampant as we can get. Mm-hmm. But it's I don't see it. I'm sorry, I can't play this game.
I'm happy that it gave us Gygus one of the weirdest bosses ever, which in turn led us to the final boss of the internet, Mick Gygus.
Doesn't find Gygus that threatening at all.
He's just sort of a swirly thing. That's it. I find Zero 2 creepier, just because he's got a physical form that's jarring.
I think McGygus is creepier.
And everybody brings up his boss battle theme, which I think is just too goofy sounding due to the terrible instrument quality. It's just, I don't get it. And I know we're gonna get bombarded with Mother fanboy complaints right about now. I see it right now.
To be fair to the soundtrack, I do like a lot of the remixes in Brawl.
I'm not saying that the compositions, like the notes, if it were played by an orchestra, it would probably be fine. It's just the instrument quality is awful.
Yeah, I was about to say
I was side with Ryan on that one. I actually do like the Mother remixes in Brawl a lot. Those are good themes.
So
I like the remixes too.
That's
it's just the sound quality is awful.
There's
a difference between sound quality and composition quality.
That was the point I was saying. I can recognize a tune as being good, but just the instruments being bad, rather than just generally bad compositions.
There's just I don't get how this got to be such a big thing. I just don't.
We're still never getting Mother 3, so
maybe guys,
too
maybe
bad.
Maybe we're just too square. You know?
Well, it's hip to be
Fucking
square.
hipsters, all of you.
Don't worry, Ted. It's hip to be square. All right, so moving on to number 16.
Anyway, number 6, Mother
Diablo.
2. No kidding.
No. Diablo.
Mother 2 is Earthbound Judge.
That's the
Earthbound,
joke. That's the joke. Number 16 is Diablo, which I've never played.
Me neither.
No, this is I've only ever had experience with 2, so I have nothing to say for Diablo 1.
Number 15, then Secret of Mana, which I've
Secret
heard plenty
of
of
Mana.
things.
This was a game I really tried to play because I've heard a lot of good things about it, and it's graphically it reminded me a lot of Chrono Trigger, and you know I thought maybe this will make a really good game. The battle system it's actually one of the first multiplayer RPGs, I believe.
I think so.
I think so.
The game is perfectly fine single player alone, but the game really wants you to have a buddy with you to play it. But having a buddy with you to play an RPG is just not likely in this.
It just requires way too much time.
Yeah,
a sibling maybe, but
well, again, but you need to have a sibling who's also interested in games, because
yeah.
I wouldn't be able to get my sister to play an RPG with me. So, I appreciate the idea, and I'm sure that if you get a friend to play co-op with you the entire way through, it would probably be a great time. Again, it's just sort of a situational thing.
Yes.
Again, I haven't played this, but I've heard amazing things about it. It's one of those games I'll get to eventually.
Yeah, so I guess moving on to number 14 is Final Fantasy Tactics.
Final Fantasy Tactics. A game that I'm surrounded by people that love this game so goddamn much. They love the battle mechanics. The story to them is some of the best they've read ever in Final Fantasy mythos.
Never played.
And it's just a little too in-depth for my tastes.
Never played.
I can get what you're saying, John, because I tried to watch the H.C. Bailey playthrough. I like H.C. Bailey, if you don't know.
I do too. I listen to his stuff all the time when I'm animating.
It's just, there was tons and tons of plot within the first few episodes. And it's just like, I'm going to pass on this playthrough. I'm not seeing this game.
Mm-hmm. So I guess moving on to... do you have anything to say, John?
Well, I was going to say, at the number 14 spot, it probably deserves it. It's just not for me.
Alright. So moving on to number 13, it's Planescape Torment. I've never even heard of this.
I heard here that... Isn't this one of the games Lewis goes on about? I'm going to assume
maybe.
so.
Lewis!
What? I see this guy's face and I think of Spoonie when he was dressing up as Battlefield Earth.
Yeah. Turtle. As Turtle. Before you could even learn to spell your name. The only worthwhile thing of To Boldly Flee. Which was a terrible movie, by the way, but...
It's made by amateurs.
Dude, the previous two anniversary specials were way better than that, but enough of that.
Yeah, that's a different discussion.
Yeah.
I hear amazing things about this. Again, it's one of those PC RPGs that everybody keeps on going on and on about. I just haven't played it. It's just it's a little bit before my time, I think. So I've just never gotten the chance to play it. I'm sure it holds up, but I've just never gotten around to it.
All right, so moving on to number 12 is Star Wars Knights everyone calls it KOTOR. Everyone calls it just KOTOR, but it's Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
I got this game on sale during the Steam sale. I think it was like $5 or something. So I have it sitting on my desktop, and I have not turned it on
I
yet.
did enjoy the game. It's a solid RPG that actually takes place in the Star Wars universe. And it
Does it? I heard it takes like several hundred years before the actual events.
No,
Well,
it's
it's the same
It's
universe.
the same universe. And this pretty much kicked off the binge of fiction and fan stuff taking place well before the time of the Republic.
Oh,
Oh, really? I thought
there was
I
tons
think
of
Shadows of the
expanded.
Empire did that.
There
was tons of extended
Extended
universe
universe
stuff
stuff.
even before this.
Well, before this, but that pretty much started the massive binge of it.
I guess.
I would assume the massive binge of stories be before the main timeline of the original Star Wars, the 6 movies. But I was gonna say there was already tons of fan stories. Or
Oh, there was
side stories. Like I remember,
there was,
you guys ever read Shadows of the Empire?
Yeah, I
Played
know.
the-
Yeah,
It was
I'm not saying there wasn't.
I'm not really a big Star Wars aficionado.
I'm not
but
saying- I'm not
I
saying-
did enjoy what I read.
I'm not saying there wasn't stuff before this, but Knights of the Old Republic really just kicked off that whole binge.
Yeah.
Popularity of it.
I think I played the first couple of hours of this game when I was at a cousin's house. And I mean, I had fun, but I remember I had to play for like a good 5 hours. We stayed up pretty much all night. And by the time that by the time the sun was starting to rise, we had just gotten to the point where we could make a lightsaber. And I was like, God damn it, I wanted to get this 3 hours ago. Again, it's a long RPG, so
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah. So
But still.
Yeah, moving on to number 11.
Number 11
I am shocked
is-
this is not number 1.
I will agree, but I was talking with Ryan earlier about it, and okay, let's just get this out of the way now.
It's
Final
Final
Fantasy
Fantasy
VII.
Number 11 is Final Fantasy 7, and Ryan, what Ocarina of Time to you is, Final Fantasy 7 is to me.
I think they're
Because-
both kind of overrated.
I still
Well,
think
let-
I think
let-
Ocarina of
let's
Time's a
put-
much better
look,
game than 7, but
I am not going to argue that. I'm not going to argue that 7 was way too exposed. But let's put it this way. By 97, I was already a huge player of 4. I was already a huge player of 6. So I was a Final Fantasy fan well before this game was announced
you hipster.
and published. So I still remember the day I got this game. You know, it was a Christmas gift. I opened it up and I just screamed. I was the fucking N64 kid for this game. It was almost Final Fantasy 7, and I just played the hell out of this. This game is so much fun to me. I love its story. I love the battle mechanics. I put so many goddamn hours into this game because it was so intriguing to me. And you know what? I'm glad that 7 was able to introduce, you know, Final Fantasy or RPGs in general to the mainstream audience, which draws in a lot of love and hate for this game in particular for doing that. But to me, as a fan of Final Fantasy who's been playing the game since 4, this is still a fantastic game.
My first experience was seeing a friend of mine's older brother who was like late high school at the time this came out playing it, and that's what got me to try Final Fantasy in the first place, because I was intrigued as to what was going on.
Yeah.
Unlike Kingdom Hearts, where I think the game itself is genuinely bad, I recognize Final Fantasy VII as a good game in and of itself.
Yes.
But I just think, A, there are a lot more Final Fantasies that are better than 7.
Okay.
And B, the fandom of it is just so freaking annoying about it.
That
It unfortunately just
when it comes
ruined-
to when it comes to
I know it's not the game's fault. But
Well, okay, I'm gonna
it's-
back up
hold on.
Ryan here, because
Hold on, let-
there's
let
one
me- let me-
thing, like, I'm gonna relate to Zelda for a second. If there's one thing that can really, even if you don't mean for it to do, even if you try to be as objective as possible, the expectations that people set can really it can impact your enjoyment of a game. And when people go on and on and on about how great Zelda is, and I'm trying to play Ocarina of Time, and I'm just sort of like meh, hearing the people go on and on about it doesn't it starts to annoy you, and you, since they're fans of it, you associate that annoyance with the game itself, even if you're trying not to. So
Yeah,
I can't do
unfortunately.
that.
Well,
I
I
understand where Ryan's coming from.
It's
with
I
this, I
can
guess
recognize
what
it
I'm
as a
trying to
good game, but again, the fans just kind of annoy me to the point where, yeah, the gameplay and story are in and of themselves perfectly fine, but when I like things better, and this one game is getting all the praise, it's just kind of, no, it's not. Shut up.
All right. So from what I'm hearing is that Ryan, you're more hostile towards the fan base of 7, not so much 7 itself.
Yes. And then unfortunately, that does put a damper on the game a
The
bit
only-
for me.
The only thing I really don't like about Seven is that because of its mainstream popularity, it got a whole compilation series released of. And I'm all for expanding the mythos of Seven because there are a lot of things that were left unanswered in Seven, like what happened to Earth after Meteor was stopped, after Holy stopped it, and
Why
we get
didn't
a
they
little more
just use a
backstory
Phoenix?
on this character.
Why
here and
didn't
there.
they just use a
But they
Phoenix
fucked
down
it
in
up the
there?
ass with a lot of unnecessary side plots and character elements that were never established in the original game because they didn't need to be established. We didn't need to know about that. It pisses me off when Cloud of today is now established as this emo wangsty thing that possibly cuts himself with his own
Crawling
Buster Sword
in my
because
skin.
he's nothing like that in Seven. In Seven, before
He's
his
more just
mind
he's
break,
more he's more
he
just
was
quiet
he
than
was- he was-
anything.
What, you gonna say something, Ryan?
He's more just quiet than anything.
He was quiet, but he was effective. He knew how to get the job done. He never really mellowed out on anything, and he never really got what am I fighting for? He had the mind break when he had some severe identity issues at the end of like around this two.
Understandable.
And after that, he became an even better character because he now knows his role as a hero. He now has to do what he has to do for the best of mankind. And
do what must be done.
He never doubted himself. He was in full control. And then we get Advent Children, where now he's angsty because of the death of a girl that it wasn't his fault entirely. And it just why did you do that? Cloud was such a great character at Seven, and then they
Again, I blame the fans for that.
I don't know what to blame. I'm not saying all the compilation of Final Fantasy VII was bad. I still get some enjoyment out of Advent Children. I did enjoy Crisis Core for PSP, but in terms of like story elements, they retcon a few things, they change things here and there, they pull things out of their ass here, and it's like, no, we didn't need. Seven in itself had a fine story. I'm all for expanding the mythos a bit, but don't pull shit out of your ass or introduce character elements that were never established in the original to begin with.
Yeah, I know. Again, it's a fine game in and of itself. I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but unfortunately the fan base does make me a bit annoyed about the thing in general.
Yeah.
Which, again, I know I shouldn't blame the game, but I can't really help it.
Your brain does that without trying to, Ryan.
Yeah.
Blame your brain, not yourself.
It could be similar to how we treat Earthbound, but Earthbound, I don't hate the Earthbound fan base. I just don't like the game.
I hate the Earthbound fan base. They're fucking annoying.
I'm different because even though I get people that want me to play Earthbound, it's never like they never pressure me to say, "Oh, it's the best game ever made," or you're stupid if you don't play this. It's more like,
what Earthbound fanboys have you been talking to? They're all like that with me.
oh, okay, well then you're just an asshole, Ted. But,
Why am I? What is asshole magnetic? Assholes attract other assholes? What? If that's the case, maybe that is why my life sucks so much.
Yeah, maybe we should wrap up the 7 discussion.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's Final Fantasy VII is still a fantastic game.
9's better. What it is.
What? I got a little interrupted there.
9's better.
9 is better, but 7's still fantastic.
Anyway,
number
10 is
Lewis.
Lewis.
Of course, the top 10 begins with the fucking Lewis call.
Oh, it gets even better. Do we have anything to say?
Number 9,
Lewis.
Lewis.
Wait, hold on. I'm getting distracted left and right here. Wait, what's number 9?
Number 10 is Mass Effect. Lewis.
Have you guys ever played the original? No. I guess you guys said that earlier that you didn't.
Nope.
Number 8. Wow.
World of Warcraft.
To win, to die.
Yes, place.
I will say that it did spawn one of the funnier South Park episodes in recent years.
Yes.
I have nothing to say. Another game that
I had some
around
friends
me is playing the hell out of.
Yeah, so I had some friends in college who played it a lot, but I never played it myself.
I had no
because
interest.
I just had other things to play, and I don't want to be stuck on one game forever.
You want to know what it is for me, and this is going to sound petty. I don't want to pay to play a game that I already own. This is just me, but having a subscription to play a game just If it just seemed that's the main thing that kept me away from it. And I know that might sound petty, but that's just how it is for me.
Steam for the win.
No, you still have to pay a subscription though. You have to
Yeah,
pay a
but once you
subscription to
get the
stay
game,
to
you
keep
can.
your account online.
Yeah, but once you have the games, you have the games.
Well, no, you have to. Even if you have the game, have to keep on paying a
Yeah,
subscription
I
in
know,
order to
but as
keep
long as you
playing.
have your subscription, you can re-download the game as many times as you want.
Well, then you have to start all the way over, and with an
Yeah,
with
I
an
know,
MMO,
but at least you
you're supposed
have
to keep
it.
the same character and have him grow to obnoxiously broken degrees.
I know.
I just don't want to pay for something like this, I guess.
I agree. I refuse.
Mm-hmm. Moving on to what number are we on again? Number 7.
7.
Lewis!
Again, the same thing I said about
Skyrim.
the same thing I said about Xenoblade. I'm gonna say here, it hasn't been long enough. There hasn't been enough time to really place this somewhere. You know, this isn't a game you can play through all the way through in a couple of days and then do it again to get a good perspective on it. This is something you keep on playing forever. So I don't think it's been out long enough for us to get a good grasp on it.
Mm-hmm.
My opinion's pretty much all shared. If what I thought about Oblivion, I think about Skyrim. I don't mean to question its quality or anything like that. I am sure it is a fantastic game, and maybe it deserves this spot. Who knows? But not for me.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I think.
So moving on to number 6, Diablo 2.
Never played it.
That's the only one I've had
I've
experience with.
Seen and
My
played it a little
paladin.
bit, but never played it myself.
My roommates, I think my roommate was a necromancer, Mr. Danish. Yeah, that was his name,
Mr. Danish?
Mr. Danish.
What about Grizzly Adams? Different game. Alright,
So, anyway, number 5.
Final Fantasy IV.
Hold on a
Yay!
second.
The stage is
Slow at the moment.
this stage is
Final
yours,
Fantasy
Johnny.
4.
Final Fantasy IV.
Yay!
Oh man, we're in the middle of LPing this game right now for the Let's Play channel, and I'm having a blast. I love this game so much. This is the game that get me into Final Fantasy. I've played and beaten the hell out of this game so many goddamn times. I own just about every version of the game. I have the original Super
12
Nintendo
of
cart.
them?
I have the original Super Nintendo cart. I have the PlayStation port. I have the Game Boy Advance port. I have the PSP version, which is the one we're playing, and I had the DS remake. And the only one I really don't have, I guess, is the Wonder Swan, which is the Game Boy Advance version anyway. And it just does so many things right to me. Compared to today's games, it may be a little minimalistic. It's very linear for that matter. Like there are optional side things you can do here and there, but it's pretty much like one straightforward path. But the path in itself is just so goddamn fun. I love the easy to pick up battle mechanics. Soundtrack is just incredible, even for the Super Nintendo's days. I have no idea how the hell Uematsu got that sound quality out of the Super Nintendo. Because to
This
this
was
day,
he did
this
the
was a
same-
launch title, wasn't it?
No.
Or close to, at least.
it came out the year Super Nintendo came out, and
Yeah, that's really good for
yeah,
early Super
I
Nintendo.
still-
And he would
still-
repeat it later in 6.
Yeah, the game to me to this day, I don't think any other game in terms of sound design sounds anything like Final Fantasy IV. I don't know how the hell that guy did it, but he did something.
And that's why he's the most well-known game composer.
Indeed.
Well, arguably Koji Kondo, but
Well, Koji kind of just has more famous tunes because of Nintendo more than anything.
I think Uematsu's a much better composer.
Yeah.
as for Final Fantasy IV, was it a year ago? A while ago, I decided that, you know what, it's been long enough. I gotta play a Final Fantasy game. I just should. So I go onto the Virtual Console. I could either choose the 8-bit Final Fantasy 1 or this game. So I said, fuck it, I'll play this. This game, when I played it for the first time, has kicked off an RPG high that I am still riding on to this day. And this was April of last year, so it's been a while. Final Fantasy IV is probably the best game I could have ever played to get me into the sort of the old school RPGs. And I mean, I played the original Super Nintendo version, Final Fantasy II. So the translation's bad. It's just bad.
Ted Woolsey.
It wasn't Ted Woolsey.
No, it
actually.
wasn't Ted Woosley. No, not even
right.
Ted Woosley was this bad.
But it's just this game just has so much awesome, just compacted into it. Like, it made me care about characters that I only knew for an hour. Like, I was legitimately upset when I saw half of these characters die, but not really die. The battle mechanics are so much fun to do, and you don't have to get a guide to understand them, which I really, really appreciate. The
Yes.
music's awesome. It's just this is awesome. I don't have words to put to my thoughts right now, but I really, really enjoyed Final Fantasy IV. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
If there's a Final Fantasy game you want to get yourself introduced to, it's this one. You play this game first, and after that, if you enjoy what you played, pick up 5 or pick up 6,
I
and then you pick up 9, and then you pick up 7, and then you pick up 10.
And then you never play anything else because they all
And then you
suck
play
after that.
and then you play 6 hours of 13, and then you wait 2 years after that, and you pick up 13 again, and then you stop at the same spot you stopped in last time.
And then Lightning returns it.
Yeah,
and then you pick up the DS port of Final Fantasy III and appreciate what it must have been like for its time, but notice how aged it is.
indeed. Have you
But-
beaten the DS version of 4?
The DS version of 4, I've gotten pretty close to the end. It's something I sort of play on and off. I've beaten the Super Nintendo version though. I really appreciate this game because without it, I wouldn't have played other Final Fantasies. I wouldn't have played Dragon Quest. I wouldn't have played Persona. It's just this game is one of the life changers, I think, for me. And I've only got a few other games like Pokemon and Ace Attorney who are life changers for me.
Yeah.
This is a life changer, so I really enjoyed this one.
This is the one I started with. This is the reason why I was such a big Final Fantasy fan to begin with.
Anyway, speaking of
Number
Pokemon
4.
Red and Blue.
Up
Ah,
here
oh.
purely for historical significance, even though technically the best game in the Pokemon series is Fire Red and Leaf Green.
No, well, Gold and Silver is not on this list at all. That pisses me the fuck off.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna. Get
I
this
love
out.
Red and Blue and I played the shit out of them when I was a kid, but it's very archaic compared to later games.
It's Golden. I don't see how anyone, unless if you want to know how I can tell someone's not a fan of Pokemon, is if they say that Red, Blue, and Yellow are their favorite games. Because it's like, oh, you've never played anything else, have you? Because
I love the game back in the day, don't get me wrong. I played the shit out of it. It was the first RPG I spent a ton of time with, but Gold and Silver are a lot better. Fire Red and Leaf Green and all the remakes are a lot better. And I think Gen 3, just in terms of battle mechanics, is better in terms of just gameplay, but
Yeah, I mean,
Pokemon themselves
I'd
and region
play
are
8-bit,
debatable. But
Red and Blue over Gen 4, but that's only just because I consider Gen 4 to be childhood raping. So, it's Red Blue is just aged so. It's terrible. It's aged terribly.
It set the foundations, but in terms of just being a better game, yes, Gold Silver did trump Red Blue. Yeah, again, like Ryan, I have the most memories with Red and Blue, but Gold and Silver are just the better games. I think my favorite Pokemon games of all time are Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Because I haven't invested enough time in Black and White to really establish what I think about it completely.
I love Black and White, but it just doesn't beat out Gold and Silver. Whether it's due to my nostalgic connection or whether Gold and Silver is just better designed.
the region of Unova in itself is just a bit too limited.
It's a circle, and I understand what they were going for, but it's just one of
Well, there's just not
Pokemon's-
as much to do. In Gold and Silver, you can talk to people on different days, and they'll do different things. And
Gold and Silver, I think, do the best job at creating an immersive world. Not only because you have Johto, which is awesome, but you get to see how Red and Blue changes over the 3 years that happened, which is really, really great. And once you beat the Elite Four, it's pretty much non-linear until you get to Gym 8. So, again, if Gold and Silver were in this spot, I'd have absolutely no problem with that. But Red and Blue... I'm sorry, just no.
It's important, but it's not the best game.
Yeah, that's pretty much
mind
how
you,
I
they
think
have my
about it.
favorite mons in terms of designs and characters and region, which is why I think Fire and Leaf Green are the best Pokemon games ever, because it takes the battle mechanics from 3 and just puts it in Gen 1.
I can see that. I can definitely see that. I love Fire Red and Leaf Green. But do we have anything else to say?
Not
Well,
particularly.
we already did a commentary over Red and Blue.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da.
Watch our Pokemon Yellow playthrough to
And
get
our
a full understanding of what we think.
And then our ongoing LP of Leaf Green.
And ongoing, and ongoing, and ongoing.
Alright, so moving on to number 3, Lewis.
For the love of God, we just couldn't get through one more game without the Lewis call. Baldur's Gate 2 Shadows of Am.
I'm gonna assume it's
I don't play it, I'm assuming Lewis has.
What do you guys think?
I'm sure. Lewis. Lewis, just make a video response whenever you're done going through this list yourself.
If you give a shit enough to vote your opinion, you might just wait till an eventual commentary.
Yep.
So anyway,
Moving on
number
to
2 is the game that I would have thought would have got number 1 since Final Fantasy VII didn't get it.
It's my number 1.
Chrono Trigger.
Da 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 da.
Why is it Robo on the picture?
Because everyone knows the song. Because it sounds like Rick Astley.
You up.
This was
my favorite RPG of all time.
My first experience with Chrono Trigger was with the Final Fantasy Chronicles release on the PS1. That came with the PS1 port of 4 and this game. And I enjoyed what I played. The load times were atrocious because you would think a Super Nintendo game transformed to the PS1 wouldn't have no load times whatsoever, but they proved me wrong on that one. And then I finally experienced the original Super Nintendo version with an emulator, and everything was just so quick, seamless. It was fun. It reminded me a lot of both 4 and 6 Final Fantasy, and it's just a fantastic game.
It's my favorite, easily.
I played this on the DS, so I don't think there's any significant changes between this and
the DS.
this.
Is pretty much
the PS1 version without any load times.
Exactly.
As for the game itself, I think this is just another one that I was a little bit too late to. I can totally see why people would say this is one of the best RPGs ever. Because, I love the character designs are great, the battle system's great, the music's great, the graphics are great. The only problems I can think of it off the top of my head are real nitpicks, like I think some of the boss battles drag, but that's really about it that I can think of for complaints. I think I was just a little bit too late to the party. It kind of sucks being only like 4 or 5 years younger than you guys. I don't get to appreciate all these games you guys love.
Well, to be fair, Chrono Trigger came out in '95. The re-release with Final Fantasy Chronicles didn't come out in 2001, so I was 6 years late.
I didn't play it till later either, and I still really enjoy it.
Because before the Final Fantasy Chronicles port came out, I had no idea what Chrono Trigger was. I never heard of it. I had never experienced any of it beforehand. I never saw video footage of it. It was just something that someone recommended to me. I played it. I enjoyed the hell out of it. And, to me, that is a sign of a fantastic game, where it could just come out of nowhere for me and just be a gem.
Again, I really liked the game. I think it's a great game. It didn't click with me the way that 4 did or that some other games did. I can still appreciate it. It's just not. It just didn't wow me, I guess, is what I should say.
It pretty much wowed me because we'll get to the number 1 spot, which is pretty obvious at this point. But it's kind of a fantasy-ish land, which is fine for RPGs, but with the whole time travel aspect, it just gives you a lot more world to explore and see how your decisions actually affect things.
Yes.
Because while, having decisions in like Final Fantasy 4 or 6 or whatever can actually affect certain little things is fine and all, but when you actually see how things happen in the long term, it just feels like your choices and your decisions make all the much more impact on the world around you. So,
and I agree.
It just really got me into the story, and the game mechanics are just great, and just having the variety of characters, I like Final Fantasy, or some of the earlier Final Fantasies, don't get me wrong, but they're all just kind of fantasy dude, fantasy woman, fantasy person with mage. It's just
hey, I had a team. I had 5-year-old twins on my party at one point.
I know there are some weird people in there, but for the most part, it's fantasy people. Here I have a robot and a cave woman and a mad scientist person and a frog knight. No, it was just a load of. It just felt a lot more fun to me.
Again, I get it. It's just it didn't click with me personally. I still think it's a great game.
And the fact that you can recruit the final quote-unquote boss is just hilarious. Mind you, he's not terribly useful, but...
No, I thought Magus was useful.
As soon as he joined your party, all that badassery went somewhere else.
Yeah.
I used Magus plenty.
I tend to neglect Magus for Ayala or hell, Robo for that matter.
Yeah.
Oh, I hated Robo. I never used him.
But
Well,
his
I'm
theme,
talking more
his
the DS
theme.
for it. Robo got a little more used because he had better weapons.
But the theme, Ted, the theme. Do, 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 do.
So, number one.
So number one, if you guys couldn't have guessed at this point, and this is how I found out about this about I think it was yesterday,
Yeah.
is Final Fantasy VI. I cannot go on and on and on about how much I love this game so goddamn much. You know, we've already done a commentary over it. It was the first RPG commentary we did, and for good reason, because this is when I hear RPG, this is the first game that immediately pops into my head.
Because you reference a playthrough.
This is no time for intermission.
Okay, I'll stop.
I make sure I play this game at least once a year. Whether it's the original Super Nintendo version, not the god awful PS1 port, or Final Fantasy VI Advance, I just stop in the middle of something and I will go out and play this. This game just did so many things for me, right? Like the amount of characters you can cast. Granted, it's on the easy side. I'm not gonna lie. You know, the game is rather easy, even for a Final Fantasy game. But you know,
I'm not gonna say that's a fault though, because if you're playing an RPG, you're just supposed to experience it, and I don't want to grind for 20 hours to just beat it, you know.
But this is also one of those RPGs where I had a lot of fun doing those challenge runs, like the natural magic run, or the low level runs, or like yeah, actually, I believe those are the only two challenge runs I did. But I still had a fantastic time doing that. I love having so many options about how I can approach a game. It's the same game in the end, but if I can play a game in a different style from beginning to end, and I'd still have just as much fun as I would playing this game in the normal way, to me, you can't get any better than that. And I love 6 to no end. And I know I'm going to be fighting with Matt when we eventually get into this.
Doesn't Matt like 8 better?
No, Matt will agree that 6 is a better game than 8. It's kind of like vice versa, because he stated that he doesn't find what makes 6 so special, and I say, okay, we're going to argue a bit here for the LP, but I will do everything I can to make sure to let you know why I love this game so much, and he's going to try and do the same thing with me for 8, because he loves 8. He loves 8 in just about every aspect, and I don't see it why, but I just love this game. I can't get enough of it. I will play it time and time again. We all have that one game that we just do that for. Different genres, by the way, because I will say that I play Super Metroid or Castlevania Symphony of the Night more than I do 6. But in terms of RPGs, it's this game.
Mm-hmm.
This is sort of an odd game for me, because it's one of those. It's an odd thing where I acknowledge that this is a better game than 4 in Chrono Trigger, but I still like 4 better.
I still like Chrono Trigger better.
It's sort of odd. Where Final Fantasy IV, as I said before, it had that impact where it's like, I want to play more games like this. So, that left that impression with me. And I get that 6 is a more polished, better executed, better story, better translation, better pretty much everything. And I really, really, really loved it. It's a really great game. But I didn't attach that emotional investment, or at least not as much as I did with 4. And I guess that's just because I appreciate the experience that 4 was novel to me at the time. I don't know. It's just, this isn't a fantastic game, and I think it's better than 4, but I like 4 more than this.
There are, I was gonna say 6 is in no way perfect. It's not. There has this I think I mentioned in the top 100 SNES games that I find Chrono Trigger's story better than 6's.
It
That's
is.
it engaged me more than 6's story. 6's story, it comes at a fault because there's so many recruitable characters. They have to give everybody a chance in the spotlight, which I think 6 does do well, but after a while, especially like in the second half, everything starts to get lost in translation a bit because we get to the point where we're in the second half of the world. At the end of the world, as we know it, Kefka's won, but we don't encounter the asshole until everything's said and done, and we get no other sense of plot related to Kefka. Besides the one time where one of the towns is hit with the light of judgment, and we just know it's Kefka's doing, but we don't actually, encounter him at any point until the final encounter in the game. And in terms of like the characters themselves, well, I do love like Terra, and I do love Edgar, and I love Sabin.
Motherfucker suplexer of trains.
Because who doesn't love a muscle-head bodybuilder that can suplex a fucking locomotive?
He's also ridiculously broken, and I love him for it.
I still love that little Flash comic where it shows us Sabin like really hulking up, and the Crucius on suplex on the train. It just says, "Dude, seriously, I'm motherfucking Sabin."
I love Shadow. I love all those little characters, and I like how they get all their side stories. I like how they get a little fleshed out. Not fleshed out much, mind you. There are a few characters I wish they were a little more fleshed out, particularly Shadow. But I think I have a little more attachment with the characters in 4, if only because there weren't as many characters in 4 to attach to, so they had more chance in the spotlight. But 6 as a game, which is most important to me, RPG or not, is just so much fun. And there's really not much else I can say.
Yeah, I really like this game. Still think Thousand Year Door is better.
Still think Chrono Trigger is better.
Hey, to each your own. We all have our favorite RPG. This is strictly mine. So, what do you think?
This list blows.
This list is questionable. Yes, it really is.
Final Fantasy IX, Persona 4, Thousand Year Door are not that low. They're just not.
Particularly Final Fantasy IX.
Yeah, I still can't believe 9 was so low on the list. I really can't believe that. But let's make guesses here, because I know we're going to have subscribers here that are going to talk about what they think their favorite RPG is of all time, and those comments will get thumbs up throughout the butt with people that agree with them. Who do you think? What do you think is going to be the most popular RPG on the comments list?
Earthbound and Final
Mother
Fantasy
3
VII.
or Earthbound.
Earthbound and Final Fantasy VII.
No, you have to remember our subscriber base. They probably wouldn't like 7 as much. It's gonna be comments about Earthbound. I already tell it because the fan base will just meld together and become this force of internet justice. Quotation marks.
Run,
Target site 10.
run, run.
Although I got a bunch of the Xenoblade fans angry, so they're probably gonna get mad too. Okay, you know what? We should make a different bet. How mad will people get at me?
Ted, I was going to say, you have like 7 different laser pointers aimed at your head. Right?
Excellent. I feed on your anger. Let the hate flow through you.
Good.
It gives you focus.
Yeah, am I the only one wrong thinking that I just picture Emperor Palpatine just rubbing his nipples while he's doing that?
What he's doing, the goo.
Yeah, just talking to him in general like that with that deep growling voice.
Alright, so that was the IGN Top 100 RPGs list. I'm sure they'll come up with other lists sooner or later for us to...
This is actually been a while since we did the last lists.
There's been nothing really that interesting to do.
It's almost been a year, actually, since we did the last lists, I recall.
I'll check.
But yeah, I had fun doing this. I know a lot of the games, but then again, that's par for the course here at Brain Scratch. But I had fun. It's good to reminisce over the past experiences.
Mm-hmm.
The list itself is rather shit.
Yep.
Lewis, where are you?
Lewis.
We'd still be at like the 40s by now if you weren't here.
if you were here.
No, we'd still be on the first game he mentioned and be going on and on and on and on and on and on about it. So yeah, that was a list. I'm sure we'll come up with something some other time. So we will see you guys all later.